Member Jordan?
Present.
Member Baez?
Present.
Member Timmons? Is absent. Member Scott Roundtree? Yeah, that's absent. Member De Silva? Present. Member James?
Here.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Here.
Chair Richardson?
Here.
We have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Let's jump around to item 6, which is an adjournment at CPB 23-98. Applicant available.
It should be rejoined.
Mr. Sauer.
We have Kyla Ketchens on behalf of the business.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kyla Ketchens. I'm an associate attorney at Sauer Shabazz Woolridge and Law Group. We represent the applicant Bergen Street Village LLC, and yes, we'd like to request another adjournment for this application and to preserve notices.
Mr. Barry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Beck, let's get Mr. Barry sworn in, then we can look at it.
Good evening, Mr. Barry. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Just state your name and affiliation for the record.
Sure. John Barry, consulting planner for the board. Ms. Kitchens, the next available date for the board's agenda is May 6th. Does that give you enough time to resolve what needs to be taken care of?
We will be missing one of our experts. Would you have May 20th available?
May 20th is also available.
We'll do that.
You're welcome.
Okay, and your notice will be preserved.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening. See you May 20th. Let's move to number 3, which is Ms. Moore, CPB 20-22. This is also an adjournment. Ms. Marsha Moore.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Marsha Moore on behalf of the applicant. It's the address is 10 Grand Street. This is also a request for an extension. We are seeking an adjournment for the applicant to have an opportunity to discuss this matter. I know it's an extension, but we, as a courtesy, we've asked to adjourn the matter. The May 6th date will be fine if that date is available for the board.
Yeah, that's fine. Mr. Barry, correct? May 6th is available?
Yeah, May 6th is fine, and the matter's not noticed, so.
Okay, so we'll see you May 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Now we're going to move to Ms. Carrillo-Perez, and we're going to start off with CPB 20-13. I think this is also an adjournment.
Good evening, members of the board. It's actually CPB 21-69 for Hudson Street.
Oh,
that one
correct.
Is going to be, that is also an extension, and we are requesting an adjournment. We were again asked, similar to Ms. Moore, to extend, postpone the matter so that we have an opportunity to meet.
Okay. How much time do you need? Mr. Barry, do we have March 6th and March 20th open?
May 6th and May 20th, Chair, yeah.
That I think that's ample time. May 6th.
May 6th or May 20th?
I'll take May 6th.
May 6th. All right, we will see you then.
Thank you.
And then we have CPB 20-13, which is also yours.
Correct. That is not. We are not adjourning that one.
Okay.
Yes. So.
Let's get started.
Sure. Good evening, Jennifer Carrillo-Perez on behalf of Walnut Homes Realty LLC. We did submit a request to this board through your board secretary for an extension of the approvals that were secured for 78-82 Walnut Street.
We've requested a 2-year extension. They're working out to finalize some compliance issues and financing. And so the 2 years was requested so that by the time we pull permits, we will still be valid within that time period. And so, the applicant is now looking to take advantage of the warmer weather so that they can proceed on this project.
Board, you heard the ask of an extension for 2 years. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion for the 2-year extension.
Motion to extension.
Moved by Commissioner Byers. Who second? I didn't catch it. Was there a second?
Commissioner James.
Commissioner James. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner DeSilva,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher,
Yes.
Chair Richardson.
Yes, the extension has been approved. Now you have one more, right? CPB 24-03.
Correct.
All right, let's get to that.
Great. Mr. Fernandez and John McDonough are my 2 professionals on that application. Great. Perfect.
Please mute your device.
So I see everyone up. Okay, great. If I can proceed.
Sure.
Great. Good evening again, Jennifer Carrillo-Perez, on behalf of 145 Sullivan Cat LLC. The applicant is here before you for 145-147 Sylvan Avenue, also referred to as 840, Block 840, Lot 14. We have filed an application with the city for a minor subdivision approval. The applicant is looking to subdivide the existing lot known as Lot 14 into 2 conforming lots. Proposed Lot 14 will be referred to as 145 Sylvan Avenue, and proposed Lot 15 to be referred to as 147 Sylvan Avenue. The lot currently is developed with a 2.5-story existing home, which we are seeking to convert into a 3-family. It is a 2-family. And then the applicant is proposing to construct a new 3-family dwelling on the newly created parcel. There will be parking, obviously, associated with both of them. We do not have a parking variance. There are a few variances that are being requested along with the subdivision. They include sufficient side yard setback on both lots, impervious surface coverage, and there was another identified for on-site trees, but as you will hear during testimony, we will eliminate that variance and try to work to ensure we can plant all the trees necessary on the site, as long as it doesn't impose any issues with sight lines on the driveway aisle. So I also would just like to note for the record, I think it was noted in Mr. Barry's report of April 2nd, that there are no open violations relative to the use of the property. The applicant purchased the property and at that time was made aware of some open violations and illegal conversion. Those units at that time were vacated, and we are now here before you to seek the conversion of that existing house into a legal 3-family, and that documentation was submitted to Mr. Barry in the process of completeness. And we can also submit it, and I apologize to the board secretary for the record. We do have the 2 witnesses, Mr. Fernandez and Mr. McDonough. We have received the 3 reports. The planner's report dated April 2nd, the subdivision report dated May 4th, and the memorandum from the Department of Engineering. And while we see no issues with that, our professionals will stipulate with respect to those reports on the record during the course of their testimony, their agreement with the conditions noted therein and the clarifications that were asked of them in that report. So if we can ask Mr. Fernandez to be sworn in, please.
If I may, before we continue,
Yes.
Ms. Carrillo-Perez, I believe you're referencing engineering reports from when the application was with ZBA.
That's the only report we had, yes.
So you no longer have a report because it's a two-family, so they don't have a review for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just wanted to know what we had. The reports were older.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, could you unmute? Mr. Fernandez, thank you. Mr. Fernandez, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
Jorge Fernandez, Fernandez, registered architect.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, your license is current and still in good standing. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Fernandez appears before this board, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair.
he's certain about it, Bill. You don't have
Thank you very much. Mr.
to be there
Fernandez,
every week.
you prepared the plans that were submitted as part of this application along with the surveyor. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And if you can, walk the board through the existing conditions of the property, and then we can then go on to the proposed development of the new three-family.
Certainly.
And Mr. Fernandez would be relying on the plans that were submitted and that you have, so we will not mark them. Anything else we will certainly advise to mark.
Okay, I hope everyone can see the plans.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so we're going to start with the existing conditions. So this site, we're going to subdivide into 225 by essentially 171 and 172 of properties. Currently, there's a 2.5-story dwelling on one side of the property, and the other side is effectively vacant. It's used as a paved asphalt driveway by the existing property. So what we're proposing to do is to split it down the middle, and the existing house will remain, and we'll have a shared driveway between the existing house and our proposed new structure, which is 14 by 94. And the neighbor to the, in this case, to the east, is a existing 2-story dwelling that is 10 inches from the property line at the shortest setback and 1.2 feet at the largest setback. So we set our building back from this eastern property line 2 foot 2 inches in order to have the 3 feet that's required between buildings. And on the opposite side, we'll have a 10 foot 2 inch driveway in between the existing house and our proposed house. And that will allow us to have parking in the rear. We'll be able to have 3 cars for the existing house and another parking space for the proposed house, because the house will also have a garage, 2-car garage for the use of the tenants.
And Mr. Fernandez, you've reviewed the reports with respect to the request from the cities on our subdivision, so that we will be submitting an easement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so an easement will be prepared, board members, and we will submit that to the city should this board be inclined to grant the application to memorialize the driveway and the dual access. Sorry, you can proceed.
So I understand there were some impervious coverage variances both for the existing and the proposed property. I believe that has to do with the fact that we need the paved area to be able to maneuver the cars and park the cars through the buildings and into the rear. But this is a longer lot than normal, so that still allows us a large green area in the rear of the property that could be used for leisure activities by the tenants. I did see the planner's report requesting if we could plant another tree in the in the back of the existing property, you can absolutely do that. As we were showing on behind the proposed property. The front,
Mr. Fernandez, just briefly mentioned on the impervious surface coverage, 70% is what's required. And in both instances, what we're requesting is de minimis. It's about 76.8 on one lot and 79. Is that your understanding?
That is correct. Yeah, lot 14 is 79%, lot 15, 76.8%.
Thank you.
The front, where we have a 13.1 foot setback from the existing building. There's a chain link fence that currently goes over the into the public right of way. That can definitely be removed as is suggested by the engineering department. And our proposed structure, we have 7 foot 10 inches setback from the front yard, and we will have a gate in between the two houses to close off the driveway into the rear. So I would like to go over before I go into the floor plans, I guess I'll go into the elevation so that people can understand what the site is doing. There's a drop in grade from front to back, and that essentially allowed us to have the garage in the basement level, because the basement level is not visible from the street, but once you drive past the building, you're driving down, and once you're at the rear of the building, you have a fully uncovered 8 foot height wall that allowed us to have our garage door there. So the building from Sylvan looks like a 3-story building, and then from the rear of the property, it looks like a 4-story building because it's of the change in elevation in grade. So I have here the floor plans. This is the basement level, which has the 2-car garage in tandem, and it has a storage area, and can also be used for recreation by the owner or tenant of the first floor apartment, because it has a stair that interiorly connects this level to the first floor level. The first floor plan, we have a 2-bedroom apartment which has its bathroom, a laundry facility, and of course living area. And the front entrance to the building here, we have the windows, the front entrance door, and we have stairs that are used by the tenants of the second and third floor, and also a doorway for the first floor tenant to be able to come access the building from the street. The second floor plan and third are identical. We have a 3-bedroom with an office. So we have the master bedroom, 205 square feet. The other bedroom is 120 square feet. The office is also 120 square feet. There's another bathroom, laundry closet, and a kitchen and living areas in front. The building does have windows on both sides, as we have setback on the driveway side and also 3 feet from the neighbor. So we're allowed to have windows on both sides. And the third floor is the same as the second floor here. The front, the elevations, we have here the front. Again, as I explained earlier, it's 3 stories from the front. We're going to have masonry on the first floor, and then hardy plank siding on the second and third. We'll have vinyl siding on the sides and the rear. With the exception, of course, of the basement level, they'll be stucco finished. We're complying with glazing requirements pretty much on the proposed building, because we were able to add all the windows that are necessary for bedrooms, living areas, in the spaces. Now I also have floor plans of the existing building that's there, and how we're proposed to show it as a 3-family. The first floor plan has a 3-bedroom, living room, bathroom, and kitchen area. This building, because it's an older structure and it didn't have a sprinkler system, it has two means of egress. So it has a front stair and a rear stair. We're planning to keep that going all the way up into the attic floor. So the second floor is also a 3-bedroom apartment, 1 kitchen, one bathroom and living area. And then the third floor, we're proposing to have it be a 1-bedroom apartment, which a large living area towards the front and a 116 square foot bedroom in the rear. Again, 1 bathroom and a closet. This building has a basement that's going to be shared by all the tenants because it's connected basically by the rear stair into all the apartments. So we're proposing some storage areas, a mechanical area, and also we could have laundry facilities down here for the tenants of this 3-family. Again, this is an existing structure, so we didn't really find a place for laundry in the second and third floor apartments, so we just opted to be able to use this common space as a laundry facility, as well as storage and what other use the tenants may have. The front elevations are existing. We do have a transparency issue in the rear. I believe we're under 10%, but again, it's an existing structure, so we really are not going to change it. So that's pretty much the.
Mr. Fernandez, there will be some repairs done to the front. Is that correct? The stairs or the porch?
Yes, repairs need to be done to the front, but I mean, opening windows is something that we really are not going to do, especially
so
on the
that's
first
just a maintenance issue, really, too.
Yeah.
And then the transparency that's an existing condition that's noted in the planner's report, that's what you were discussing with respect to windows, correct?
That is correct. I believe I didn't go into the street tree in the front, so I'll just go over that quickly. The street tree, we have an existing street tree in front of the existing house. And then the neighboring lot to the east immediately has another street tree planted right at the property line, essentially. So it really doesn't leave us much room to plant another tree in between there, especially since we're going to have the driveway and it will block our viewing side triangle. So we will have to ask for a waiver of the tree requirement, the extra tree in front of the new building.
And in lieu of that, it'll be a contribution to the tree fund. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But we are going to plant the additional tree in the rear of the property.
We will plant in the rear of the property. We have ample space.
Okay. And the only rationale for the front is that there isn't sufficient space, and the location of the shared driveway it would cause an issue. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And with this property, we're looking to take the existing lots, this existing lot, and subdivide them into 2 equal conforming lots. And the original house will remain with some minor repairs just to the front that are maintenance. We're looking to convert that to a 3-family, as you testified, correct?
That is correct.
And on the second house, it's a new 3-family. You just walked us through the floor plans there, and in both instances, 3 parking spaces will be provided for each, 1 spot for each unit, satisfying that requirement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have had an opportunity to review the planner's report as well as the subdivision report that we received from the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you have any issues with us being able to comply with that, with the conditions that were referenced in the planning comments that were noted therein?
No, we do not.
I do not have any additional questions for Mr. Fernandez.
All right. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Hearing none.
Vice Chair.
Chair, I have a question.
Okay, Co-Chair Witcher.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Fernandez, can you please speak to the difference or the differentiation between those spaces that you're calling offices on the new building? What's the difference between an office and an additional bedroom on those floor plans?
The only difference is it doesn't have a closet.
Why are you opting to not to add a closet to those spaces? What's the advantage?
I mean, it gives you a little bit of extra space, I guess, and being that a lot of people work from home these days, we believe an office is adequate, but we rather not put the closet. It gives people the choice to put larger furniture, office furniture.
Okay. I'm asking because just in conversation with neighbors and relatives and folks in Newark, we know that housing is short, and for folks who have additional space, a lot of folks are housing persons in their additional spaces. That's why I'm asking.
Madam Co-Chair, I will just say that it's a marketing advantage to offer an office. So the extra room that was designed is, we can have it open. It doesn't have that door, but the option to have the home office, I'm working from one right now, seems to be kind of what the trend is, especially for folks with families. And so for a 3-bedroom unit, that's what the market had predicted. So the goal was to have that as an available space for either the folks who do work, the kids who do homework, just an open kind of area. And if the board is inclined, we can certainly make the opening larger. We can remove the door, whatever the case may be, to give you a sense of comfort. But essentially, the space is there, and they wanted to have it as an option and an amenity to the tenants to have that additional space.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair. Mr. James.
So, in regards to the storage room, is that also going to be utilized as the office space?
The basement storage? I'm just for
Right.
clarification.
Yeah, the basement storage. Yeah.
Mr. Fernandez, that is, the basement is unfinished space, and it'll be used as just as storage for Christmas, anything that the tenant may want, decorations, extra table.
You can use each rooms as essentially a storage locker. They could put bicycles. They could put Christmas lights.
Right, but based on your plans, each storage room also has a bathroom, correct?
No.
In the basement, we have a powder room only. In the basement.
Okay, so no bathrooms in lot 14 or 15.
We have bathrooms on both.
I'm referring to the storage room.
The storage room of
right.
the existing house, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that one only has a powder.
Okay, so define a powder room. Is it
a toilet and a sink?
So it could be used as a legal conversion, essentially.
There's no shower.
No, there's no shower, so we could never.
Right, but you have a sink. But you have plumbing, correct?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to be clear that wasn't being utilized as an office space or another unit.
No, it will not.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Chairman. Is any bathtub in the basement? A stove, anything?
No.
Excellent. Thank you.
Commission, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Next witness.
Mr. John McDonough. There you are.
Good evening, Mr. McDonough.
Hi, Mr. Beck.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is John McDonough, and I am the project planner.
Thank you, counsel.
Mr. McDonough, your license is current and in good standing with the state of New Jersey?
It is.
And you've been accepted by this board in the past as an expert and as a planner?
Yes, I have.
Mr.
That
Chair.
doesn't mean we're gonna accept them tonight.
Not this time, Mr. Chairman, I get it.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry,
accepted
Mr.
by the
McDonough,
board.
we're moving on. No, thank you.
Go
Mr.
ahead,
McDonough, you've had an opportunity to not only tour the property, but review the plans, and the reports that are all part of this application. Is that correct?
Correct.
And with respect to that relief that's being requested, not necessarily the subdivision, because it's and as of right, can you provide the board with your planning analysis with respect to the justification for the relief that's being requested?
Sure, I think I can move through this one relatively quickly. It's relatively straightforward. And Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I just have a few visuals to show the board, which helps with orientation and context.
And we'll mark those, Mr. McDonough?
Yes, are we up to just A1, Jen?
Yes.
So A1 will be 6 slides, they're just a series of maps and photographs to show the subject property outlined in yellow. We're in the R2 zone where 3-family dwellings are a permitted use. They are now permitted under the new zoning on 2,500 square foot lots. Really what the applicant is looking to do here is restore some original platting. Originally, these were 2 lots and then they merged. Lots 14 and 15 became lot 14. So we're looking to strike that line, and you can see the pattern is very consistent with the pattern of the neighborhood as well. Where we see a mix of dwellings, you've got 3 families, 2 families, 1 families, all nicely spread along Sylvan Avenue here. And it's a site that backs up to the park, to Branch Brook, by the Second River. So we always say it's good planning to put people by parks. That's exactly what our applicant is doing here. There is parking in place, and I think our architect, George, has done a good job of creating a shared driveway in between the two so that we can meet the parking requirement. Not only are we use conforming here, but we're also lot area conforming as well. Under the new zoning, 3 families are allowed on 2,500 square foot lots. Here we have a total lot area that is over 8,606 square feet. So a 5,000 square foot lot could accommodate 2 3-family dwellings. We are well above that here. That's just a Bing view to show the condition of the property. You do have some nice tree canopy in the front. You've got some nice tree canopy in the back as well. So we don't want to upset that in the front by planting more trees, which would interfere. And you'll see that as we look at the ground level as well. So this is what we saw on the property last spring, May 4th. I guess in a month we can start to expect some leaves to pop out. That's what we'll see. And you get a sense of the parking that's available in the back. That existing detached dwelling that you see in blue here will remain, and then a new dwelling would be put in between with the access way that would carry vehicles to the back and provide for adequate parking. Likewise, this is just a view tilted the other way towards the east. New York somewhere back there. Again, you've got the blue building, and then you've got the access through the middle and parking in the back, converting the 2-family to a 3-family, and then creating a new 3-family. Likewise, a top-down view shows the nice canopy in the front, the nice canopy in the back, and that existing building that you see with the access to the back and then the parking availability in the back as well. Finally, towards the comment about the tree, we do have a nice big old oak in the front there. It's healthy, it's strong, and typically we say that the root line follows the drip line on the top. So you can see if we did any digging here in this area, we would be upsetting this otherwise healthy tree. So we don't want to take away from that. So that's why our applicant is asking relief for no tree in the front, also interference with potential sight lines, and then planting a tree in the back and contributing a tree to the tree fund, we think all mitigates that relief that the applicant is seeking. The relief that the applicant does need is for setbacks, where on the right-hand side, we're going to be 2.2 feet away, where we need to be 3 feet from that adjacent dwelling. That adjacent dwelling is 1 foot off the property line, so that will comply. Likewise, when we strike a line, this existing dwelling, the existing dwelling as it exists now is also, I believe, an existing condition of 2.2. That 2.2 is either on the left or the right, but again, it's essentially the existing building not changing. And then finally, the coverage is essentially, as council said, de minimis increase over that which exists now. 76.8% on the left, 79% on the right, where 70% is the maximum allowed. You get a sense of the mixed character of the area and the benefit of providing for off-street parking. We think mitigates any impact associated with that relief that the applicant is seeking. All said here, we think this is reconcilable under what we call that C2 balancing test. The benefits of new housing, filling that missing tooth, if you will, on the street, continuing the pattern of the neighborhood, providing for a positive aesthetic, will all advance the purposes of zoning in the land use law without creating any substantially adverse impacts related to the setback, to the coverage, or to that one tree. Therefore, on balancing, we believe the benefits of the application as a whole would substantially outweigh the detriments, and in that regard, the burden is met and approval is warranted. That's all I have on direct, Jen.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. I have no additional questions for Mr. McDonough.
Board, any questions or comments from Mr. McDonough? Hearing none. But any questions or comments from the public?
I believe we have one chair. One second.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Relaford Alfalfa. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Janice Relaford Alfalfa, Pavilion Apartments, the city of Newark, New Jersey. I just have some questions that I wanted to get some clarity on. So, the existing dwelling, is that a 2-family or 3-family now?
Well, it's interesting, Ms. Relaford Alfalfa. I guess the building department has it as a 2-family. The city has it as a 2. It's actually taxed as, I think, a 4-family now, as I looked up the records.
Okay. My other question is regarding the basement. The basement is going to be used for storage and I guess laundry facility. Will there be boilers, like, heating, boilers, hot water tanks, or etc. in the basement?
I believe utilities would be. I'm looking for George, just in case I'm saying anything out of line, but I believe that would be commonplace, typical.
Okay, yes. And would that be set off?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Alfalfa. I just wanted Mr. Fernandez, the architect, to answer your question. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you very much. So, as an environmentalist, I just want to make sure that when the laundry room and the storage room, that these particular areas would not be close to the particular utilities. Is that going to be closed off?
Yes, they're secluded from the rest of the basement. They're inside a room, a mechanical.
Okay, then. And so then you stated that there would be trees. You said that and I see where Mr. McDonough has proven that he cannot put a tree in another tree in the front. That would be a little cumbersome. But my question is, the property, according to the design, can it have some kind of shrubbery, like, in the front, make, beautifying it a little bit to help, the air quality in the environment?
We will be planting trees in the rear, and the front does have a landscape buffer, so we will be able to landscape it.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. If you can do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I have one comment. Thank you. It's Ms. Carrillo-Perez, this is probably directed to you. It's been brought to my attention that we have an engineering report from the zoning board application. The engineers did not re-review the application when it was transferred to the planning board. So it's my understanding they only reviewed the development on one of the properties. Would you consent to having the review extended to cover the entire project if the engineers feel the need to update their report?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
Thank you. Just want to make sure we cover all our bases.
Thank you, Mr. Barry.
Mr. Barry.
Thank you, John. That's it, Chair Richardson.
In that case, I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Byers. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Byers,
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva,
Yeah.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Co-Chair Richard,
Yes.
Chair Richardson.
Yes, the application is approved. Good luck. I want to go back to Ms. Moore, which is CPB 24-15.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. My name is Marsha Moore on behalf of the applicant, Walnut Management LLC. I would ask that the members of my team, that would be Dave Robinson, Harrison Barani, John McDonough is already here, and then Daniel Hamlet.
Ms. Moore, did you say Eugenia Hamblin?
Yes.
Dave Robinson. Am I missing someone?
Harrison Barani, my engineer, civil engineer. And I appreciate the courtesy. Thank you so much. Good evening. Again, my name is Marsha Moore on behalf of the applicant. This is an application along two lots located on block 87 and 88 in commonly known as 722, 728 Clinton Avenue. The property, due to the zoning ordinance, was transferred. It is now in the C2 community commercial. What we're proposing is to construct a 5-story mixed-use building with approximately 40 residential units, along with a commercial space on the ground floor. As the property is located in the C2 zone, we are not required to provide parking. We're not seeking a parking variance, but this application does include off-street parking as part of this project. We are seeking tonight preliminary and final site plan, as well as certain C variances and waivers that our experts will be discussing throughout our presentation tonight. We have notice in the newspaper, as well as post sign on the property, and notices were sent to the property owners. I have a number of witnesses tonight. My first witness will be our civil engineer. Mr. Barani will be addressing some of the comments in the engineering report, as well as to provide some clarification, elicit some testimony that not only the planner, as well as the Department of Engineering has asked us to elicit. I will follow by my architect who will discuss overall the architectural features of this project. And again, in the planner's report, Mr. Barry has asked us to provide some clarification and elicit some testimony that we will be presenting. And last but not least, John Barry will be discussing the C variances and waivers. I'm sorry, John Barry. John McDonough, not John. John McDonough will be discussing the variances. I'm staring right at John, that's why, as part of this application. I do have the representative and the managing member of the applicant, Eugenia Hamlet, available should the board have any questions. Just some housekeeping. I am in receipt of the planning staff report dated April 3rd, 2024. We have no objection as those being conditions of approval. I'm also in receipt of the engineer report dated March 19, 2024. Our engineer will be addressing two comments. I don't say we disagree. We wanted to provide some clarification on that. And that will be with respect to item number 3. that would be item number 3I, as well as for number 8 that we'll be discussing. Other than that, we will agree to comply. And there's also one more clarification that our engineer will be discussing as far as the necessity of that, and that's respect to the water surface quality unit that Mr. Barani will be addressing. I just also received the water and sewer comments, and we would ask that those be conditions of approval. We have no objections to the water and sewer comments, and that report is dated April 8th, 2024. So at this time, I'd like to call my first witness, Harrison Barani.
Good evening, Mr. Barani. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation for the record.
Sure. My name is Harrison Barany, last name B as in Bravo, Arany, with U2 Project Management, and I'm the project civil engineer.
And Mr. Barani, can you state your educational background and what license any you hold?
Yes, I have my Bachelor's of Science in Engineering from Rutgers. I'm licensed in the state of New Jersey as a professional engineer. My license is current and good standing, and I have testified before numerous boards in New Jersey before, such as Township of Morris, Borough Forum Park, Milburn, among others.
And you said your license is still current?
Yes.
Chair,
Yes, board, please continue.
Thank you.
Barani, I mentioned that we will be discussing the engineering report. Were you familiar with this application, correct?
Yes.
And your firm prepared the civil site plan in connection with this application?
Yes.
Okay. If you can share your screen and walk us through the nature of this project.
Sure. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, but if you can just zoom a little bit.
There we go. Okay. Good. All right. So the project again that we're speaking of tonight is known as 722 to 728 Clinton Avenue, identified on the tax map as block 3043, lots 87 and 88. The property consists of two separate lots that make up an area of about a third of an acre. And our property is located in the C2 Communities Commercial Zone. Looking at the aerial image here, our property fronts on Clinton Avenue, right near the intersection of Clinton Avenue and South 14th Street. The site currently is a vacant grassy site. It does slope slightly to the back. And there are a few trees around the perimeter of the site, which I'll speak about in a bit, but the site is relatively flat. And there is a chain link fence that goes around the perimeter of the site as well, which I'll speak about a little bit later. To the east, our neighbor, we have a parking lot for the Newark Church of Christ. Across the street to the north is the Newark Church of Christ. To the west is a vacant lot followed by a funeral home. And to the south of us is a vacant lot with, beyond that, some residences as well. The proposed project that we're presenting to you today is a 5-story mixed-use building. Ground floor having the commercial space, about 300 square feet of commercial space. Also on the ground floor will be a lobby area for the residences, a mailroom, trash room, and also a covered parking lot. We're proposing 24 parking spaces. Above the first floor, there will be floors 2 through 5 will contain residential apartments, a total of 40 units. And there will be also a basement level, which will contain our utility rooms as well as a maintenance room. We are requesting a number of variances, which are shown on the cover page, as you can see here. I'll go through them as I present the site plan, but basically we're asking for a rear yard setback of 14 feet where 20 is required, abutting a non-residential zone. A side yard setback with asking for 5.1 feet where 0 is the maximum and minimum allowed. Lot coverage by building where 80% is allowed, and we're proposing 81%. We're asking for a variance for impervious coverage, where the maximum allowable is 85%. We're proposing 87.6%. We're asking for a variance for the building transparency requirements for the facades. And we're also asking for a variance for the minimum number of shade trees to be provided based on the lot frontage. We're required to provide 2 shade trees based on 100 feet of lot frontage, which
I'll speak about again later. We'll be asking for that variance. And then within one of the, I believe it's the engineering report, a variance for ground floor requirements are required to provide 75% of the ground floor parking area has to be wrapped by non-residential use or a lobby space, and we're proposing 54%. We will also be asking for 2 waivers. One waiver for sidewalk width. 5 feet is the minimum allowed. We're proposing 2.5 feet, which is really, I'll go over later, it's a stepping stone we're providing around the perimeter of the site. And there's also a 4-foot wide sidewalk on the west side of the building. I'll go over later. And also a waiver for the driveway width. Originally, the project was just a residential building, mid-rise building, and we decided to make it a mixed use. So a allowable driveway width for residential is 20 feet. Now with the mixed use, with the commercial added, a 24-foot wide driveway is required. Although the parking is merely for the residential apartments. And the engineering letter did note that they would allow the waiver for that driveway width. So if I may go to the existing conditions plan, which is sheet SP 102. This basically identifies the survey. One thing I'd like to note here is brought up in the engineering letter. There is a chain link fence that borders the site, and to the right of the page here is the parking lot for the Newark Church of Christ. And basically, there's a chain link fence that runs basically along the property line, and it does slightly come onto our property, about 3 feet at the top here. And you can see there's a curb, a block curb. That's where the driveway entering that parking lot starts. It's only a one-way in. And so we noted on our plans for the chain link to be removed, the fence, but we would like to keep it there just because of, to provide perimeter security for that parking lot. I believe that's what they're using it for. They have a gate that they use to enter their parking lot. We would just ask that it be moved about 2 feet 2 feet over to give us room for egress around the building. And right now, looking at aerial imagery and using Google Earth, it appears that their driveway is about 14 feet wide. So we would ask maybe that, give and take, we take 2 feet away, it'd be 12 feet wide, which is a normal size for a driveway entering a parking lot. It shouldn't be detrimental to that parking lot or provide any hardship entering that parking lot. And so we do plan on keeping a chain link fence along this side of the property, but we plan on removing it elsewhere. Another thing
Harrison, before I just want to continue because that was one of the comments in the engineering comments. So we're not encroaching on them. They're on our property line, correct?
That's correct.
And to be a good neighbor, we're willing to keep that, but just adjust it slightly and we'll work out any agreements that we may have to work out with them. Is that correct?
That's correct. Another thing that I wanted to point out, which wasn't brought into our plans, but it was on the survey that was submitted, was there are a number of trees that border the perimeter of the site as well as the back of the site. And if I may, I prepared an exhibit just to show where the tree locations are, which I'm going to go to now. I labeled this drawing E1. And basically, this drawing identifies the location of those trees. They're all on our property. There are 16 of them identified on the survey. Again, that is what we obtained them from. And they do vary in size from about 6 inches to 18 inches. And we would need to remove them to construct the building. There's encroaching near the building as well as the pathway of emergency egress alongside the building. And we would, agree to work with the Shade Tree Commission on a number to help, give back to the tree fund in some way, so that because we can't replace all these trees and replant them with the space that we have. So we would come to some sort of agreement to give to the tree fund.
So just wanted to if we can just have it marked as A1, as E1, so just for clarification that we'll work with the arborist as far as seeking to replace as many trees as we can.
Yes.
And to the extent that we cannot, then there would be some kind of contribution to the tree fund.
That's correct.
And let me just interrupt since you brought it up. So
sure.
You're looking to remove 16 trees, and how many do you think you can actually replace?
So right now, we're providing 4 on-site trees in the back of the property, which I'll show you in our site plan. but we can add at least 4 more, I would say, to provide a nice, screen or buffer in the rear of the adjacent property. So I would say a minimum of 4 additional to a total of 8 at a minimum.
Again, Chair, we would be working with the arborist to the extent we can provide.
I understand that. I heard that the first time. My question to you, simple question. You're going to be removing 16 trees. And how many do you plan to replace? I only heard 4. And that's in the back. So what's in the front?
Well, in the front, we were proposing some landscaping in the right of way. However, the engineering comments addressed that the site triangle should be moved back further, which indicates that those trees may be in line with the site triangle and providing an obstruction to someone leaving the building. So with that, I believe it would be best to have the trees in the back and not in the front, just to eliminate any of those circumstances.
I don't know if I agree with the engineering report. We need more trees, not less trees.
And we'll provide what we can on the site. We're not saying we don't want to provide any or accommodate the ones that are being removed. But the site is a small site. It's only 100 feet wide. It's only 1/3 of an acre, and we are just at the impervious coverage limits. We're right there. So with the green space that's available, we do plan on dressing it up with landscaping and making it look nice.
Sure. So along those lines, if it's the board's inclination for us to keep what we originally proposed, then the applicant is certainly willing to do that. Is that correct, Harrison? I mean, our intent is, again, to have this as a nicely landscaped area and not to eliminate the trees. We're just trying to address some of the comments from the engineering.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we're not trying to eliminate the trees. We need more trees, not less.
Understood. And if I may, we can look at where the trees are located per se. If they're far enough over that we can, stagger or move these stepping stones around, maybe we can save a few of them that aren't, so large in size. So we can revisit that and look at our plans to see if there's anything we can do to save any of them. Maybe just trim some,
Yeah, that's a better. I like that better than removing 16 trees and then putting 4.
Yeah, we can do that. We can look because they are very close to the property line. It's not like there's a few that fall within the building footprint. You can see this line here represents the building footprint overlaid on top. So you can see there are some that fall within, but there are some also that fall without. So we can look at ways to either just trim them back and avoid taking them out completely. But we don't want to, again, provide some type of barrier for egress so that people can't, leave us alongside the building. That's all.
Yeah, I like that option better.
Okay, we can definitely look at that closer.
All right, please continue.
All right. I'm going back to our plan set, and I'm going to go to our site plan now. Actually, one more thing I just wanted to clarify. That was another comment from the engineering report on existing conditions is there are 2 utility poles that run through the back of the site. And they are right near the property line in the back. Our building will be constructed, 13, 14 feet away from them. We don't plan on changing anything with the utilities that are running through there. Based on our visual inspection, it appears it's only cable and telephone lines, no essential power lines that run through there. So we won't be affecting anything that's running to those houses in the back. We don't plan on changing anything like that. So I just wanted to make that known. Now, if I'm going to the site plan sheet now, SP 103, this shows the layout of our building of our ground floor on the left of the page, and the right side of the page shows the basement level. The building footprint is about 11,785 square feet. That takes up the property. Again, it's 5 stories tall. There is a separate entrance for the commercial space as well as the lobby area alongside the frontage of the property. We are replacing the sidewalks in front of the property as well as the curbing, so there'll be new sidewalks and curbing. This is what I was talking about as far as the perimeter of the site. You can see there's these square blocks that go around the perimeter, and that is a means of egress from different points around the building. You have two doors in the back, one being the stairwell, one is a door by the bicycle bike rack area. So it provides an additional means of egress to leave the building. And to the left here is a concrete sidewalk that we're providing for basically ease of trash to wheel the trash out to the street. And the parking lot, to expand on the parking lot, we are providing 24 spaces, one handicap space for a van, as well as 2 EV spaces. And the parking lot will be designated merely for the residences, the residential units. They'll be assigned. However, the tenant, however the owner would like to assign them, and there'll be also a space for the supervisor of the building, an assigned space, as well as like a few spaces for people who will be working in the commercial space. The parking lot will be accessed by an overhead doorway with a key fob system, so it will be secured and it will be ventilated. The architect can speak further to that with the louver system. All the stalls that we're proposing are 8.5 feet wide by 18 feet long, which is accepted by Newark in their ordinance. We do have a few spaces that are 9 feet wide that are adjacent to walls. We do have 2 spaces that are adjacent to walls that are 8.5 feet wide that fall a bit short in width. However, we would like to try to keep them just to benefit the parking use and to maximize the use of the parking. And if so, possibly, may we ask for them to be compact car spaces? Typically, compact car spaces are only 8 feet wide. So that would be accommodating a change that we could make to keep those spaces if the engineering department would allow it. That was one of their comments. As far as site circulation goes, leaving the building, there will be a right turnout only. You won't be able to make a left turn out of the building. That was a comment during our TRC meeting that the city had pushed for, so we don't have any objection to that. As far as loading and unloading goes, we're not required to provide any loading or unloading space for this property with the size of the commercial space we're providing. And as a reminder, we're not required to provide a certain number of parking stalls either for a new construction in the C2 zone. As far as loading and unloading operations go, there is street parking allowed along Clinton Avenue, as well as neighboring streets across the street. One street over, you're allowed to park. So as far as loading and unloading goes, they will be allowed to park on the street and load there, and basically bring whatever goods or services they would need into the building that way. We're proposing a small retaining wall on the west side, the left side of the building there. You can see along the sidewalk. It's only about 2 feet high. It's just to help with the grading of the site so that the site's balanced and, the slopes are okay with the sidewalk there. And we're also designating, as I've said before, in the back, the bicycle rack parking. We're compliant with the number of bicycle parking stalls required, as well as the size. So that will be provided in the rear there under the covered parking lot. The trash and recycling room, as you can see there on the left side of the page, that measures about 26 feet by 14 feet wide and about 360 square feet. It's big enough for about 8 to 10 cubic yards of storage. How the trash would work is on each residential floor, there'll be a trash room with a chute, and there'll be also a bin for recycling. And the residents will put their trash down the trash chute. They'll come down into the trash room, be collected inside the bins. There will be the supervisor for the site who will be responsible for going in and taking the trash out and wheeling it to the street for garbage pickup. It'll be done by a private hauler, and it will be done at least twice a week, I would say. If it need to be more, they can schedule a more frequent pickup, depending on the operations of the site, how much is needed. As far as the right side of the screen, as I said before, that is the basement area with utility room and building maintenance. In this room, water, gas, and electric will come in. There'll be the necessary valves and other utility meters that are required, and there'll be electric meters on the outside face of that wall alongside the sidewalk there as well. Our sanitary connection is going to be to the combined sewer within Clinton Avenue, at the top of the page there. Our stormwater and sanitary sewer will be connected there, and a backflow preventer will be provided so that no sewage or stormwater will be backed up into the site. It'll be protected. As far as stormwater goes, if I may go to the next sheet.
Before you go back, I just want to make one clarification that we were talking about one of the comments from engineering.
Sure.
And with respect to 3I on the car circulation pattern.
Yeah.
In our discussion, you indicated that you do not feel the necessity for that. Can you just discuss that briefly? I know we mentioned that we are seeking a waiver for any of the cars that are adjacent to the column, but if you can just revert back, so just wanted to address that comment.
Sure. If I may just go to our traffic circulation plan. This is a sheet that we provide to show maneuvering movements for a vehicle in and out of the parking lot, as well as accessing any parking stalls. What we typically do is we look at the most difficult stalls that a car can access. We run these traffic patterns to see if they can make these maneuvers, which they can in this case. What the City of Newark has asked is that we provide turning movements for access for every single space provided. So we would need essentially 24 different views of how cars could access each of these stalls, which we typically don't do. Again, we do worst case scenario. If a car can access these stalls that we're showing, they can access any of them. Our stalls are the right size. The drive aisles are 24 feet wide, which is required for 90-degree parking. So we're basically showing that there's no issues with maneuverability. And that's why we'd ask for a waiver rather than show every single space how it's accessed, just show the ones that are more difficult to maneuver.
And I think you were talking about, I mentioned respect to the comment from Mr. Shockley, you were talking about the stormwater. You can continue. Sorry for the interruption.
No, it's okay. The next sheet I'm showing here is our stormwater management plan. So again, here I'm showing, we're proposing an underground storage tank to collect all the roof water, as well as water from the adjacent sidewalk to the west side of the building within that area. With the retaining wall in the building, there could be water gets trapped there, so we have a little area drain to collect any water that may fall there. And everything's going to be brought into this underground tank for storage, which will then go out to the combined sewer in Clinton Avenue. The one comment which Marshall was referring to is the engineer had asked that we provide a water quality unit for the parking lot area. In this case, the parking lot is fully covered by a building. It is not exposed to above, therefore making it a clean surface, the rooftop being a clean surface per the NJDP or NJAC rules. And in this site where you're not increasing motorist vehicle surface by a quarter acre, you don't have to provide water quality for that site. So our site does not provide an increase in motor vehicle surface since it's covered by building. So therefore the water quality requirement would be waived. It wouldn't be required for this site. So that was just that one comment that was brought up. In regards to the stormwater comments as well, we are aware that the stormwater regulations were changed. The first revision of these plans were completed prior to the NJDP rules. They're changed. And we recognize that the calculations will have to be redone to account for the change in the regulations, which isn't a problem. We'll comply with that. Just want to make that known to the board. And that sums up the stormwater for the site. I may go next to our landscaping and lighting plan. This highlights the lighting for the site as well as the areas that we were showing for landscaping. Again, we were originally proposing some trees and landscaping in the front of the site in the right of way. However, there were a few comments in regards to sidewalk width. The Newark requires 5 feet wide sidewalks. So in the front, we can provide that. So that will be provided. And with respect to the trees in the front, with the new, the change in the site triangle, they may fall within an obstructed view of someone pulling out of the driveway, basically looking down the street to see if the cars are coming. Those trees may be an obstruction, so therefore we want to move those out of those site triangles to a different area on the site. Again, if if there's trees in front that do not fall within the line of sight of those sight triangles, we'd like to keep them. I believe it's a nice aesthetic touch. It dresses up the front of the building, and breaks up the hardscape a little bit. And as you can see in the rear of the building, again, we're proposing 4 trees in the back on site, which we again plan on adding a bit more just to provide a nice buffer, a nice landscape area, and looking to organize those trees in a way that we can maybe open up some of that free space in the back so people can actually use that grass area in the back. So we plan on putting those trees in a way that addresses the perimeter of the site, but also makes some space for people to use the outdoor space there in the back, whatever limit it may be. As far as lighting goes, we are providing ceiling mounted lighting within the covered parking area. We're providing building mounted lighting along the frontage to light up the doorway areas, the driveway, and we're providing recessed landscape lighting along the walls around the perimeter of the site. It is a landscape light that is enough to illuminate the pathway, but doesn't really pose any spillage onto the neighboring sites. So it's a good alternative rather than having these bright lights around the perimeter. And we will have to add a few along the back. There was a comment that the open space in the back should be lit up a little bit more, which we would agree to comply with. And all the lights will be dark sky compliant. They will not have no light pollution. They'll be shielded as per Newark standards, so we'll comply with all those comments. And there was a few comments as far as will we be able to meet the lighting requirements for certain areas such as pedestrian sidewalks, doorways, and the answer is yes. We believe we can meet those requirements, so we would not ask for a waiver for those items. And as far as the letters again that were received, we received the engineering letter, the planner's report, and the water and sewer. As Ms. Moore had said, we would agree to comply with those letters. Just one correction on the planning letter also is they had noted a variance for front yard setback, which we do not need a variance for. Our site, there was a typo in the bulk table on our cover page. It said 8 feet as a front yard setback. It's actually 0, which is what's shown here on the plans. So therefore no variance would be needed for a front yard setback. And that basically sums up my testimony. I'd be open to any questions from the board.
Commission. I know Mr. Traficante has his hand up. Let's get Mr. Traficante in here first. Sure. Let's get him sworn in, Mr. Beck.
Mr. Traficante, you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Please state your name and your affiliation for the record.
Mr. Charles Traficante, a principal engineer and a professional engineer. I'm currently employed in the City of Newark Department of Engineering. My license is active and in good standing with the state board.
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Barani, did I say that right?
Yes, you got it right.
Barani. Just for the record, I need to clarify. Are you offering a right turn only in, right turn only out movement out of this site? Or are you planning to keep a full access?
No, we're only going to propose the right turn only out. We would allow a left turn in.
So that should free up your line of sight. You're only going to need one line of sight, correct?
Correct.
So that means you can put more trees in the northeast corner to satisfy the board's wishes for more shading. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that would be correct.
All right. There's also landscape areas within the public right of way. We asked in the engineering report for the board, dated March 19th, testimony, who's going to maintain that? Cut the grass, trim the shrubs?
Yeah, so we would agree as the owners to maintain what's in front of the site, the lawn area, the trees, the shrubs. So we would agree to maintain those things.
All right. I guess part of a deed or something. Would that be noted in a deed or something so that it carries over and it should probably get sold?
We can draft an agreement and provide that to Mr. Beck as far as an agreement, and maybe record that as a separate ancillary document so it runs with the time, but not. I believe it would be referenced in the deed. Probably another agreement, a maintenance agreement, may be more included. And I can certainly forward that to Mr. Beck for review.
Also, couple more questions. To clarify, in the engineer's report under item 2 under survey, you stated the utility poles in the rear property line are remain. Do you know if there's any easements, either overhead or underground, within these subject lots?
There were no easements that appeared in the title report, the deed. There was no easements found, so therefore we don't believe there are any existing easements associated with those utility poles.
All right, then. On the page 2, under item 2, survey, rule number 3, survey shows an existing chain link fence and a block curb that extends into the public right of way of Clinton Avenue in front of the subject lot. Applicant property owner shall provide testimony to the board as to what approvals easements have they obtained from the city of Newark to allow for this existing chain link fence and block curb to extend into the public right of way of Clinton Avenue. Should no approvals easements exist, engineering department recommends to the board applicant before required to move this existing chain link fence and block curb from within the public right of way of Clinton Avenue. Do you know anything about those, Mr. Barony?
No, I don't. So the chain link fence does go around the perimeter of our 2 lots as well as the lot next to us, and again, it borders the parking lot of the Newark Church of Christ. I'm not, as far as to who owns that chain link fence, I'm not aware. However, it does, encapsulate our site. So, I don't see a problem with it being moved back out of the right of way in the areas where it may still want to remain. And as far as the block curb goes, that is a curb, I believe that was, it looks like it's part of the driveway to the adjacent driveway into the parking lot to the Church of Christ. I don't believe it's needed. It's in front of our property. It doesn't really serve a purpose. As far as engineering goes, it looks like it's a bit deteriorated and maybe part of an old structure. So I don't believe it's necessary to have it, at least, where it exists today in our property, that can be removed.
Since it's going to be the tripping hazard.
Right.
So fair to say those can be removed from the public right of way?
Yeah. And as far as the chain link fence goes along, there is our neighboring lot to the west that has the chain link fence go around it. So we would want to keep, the chain link fence around that, but it could be moved back, out of the right of way, for sure.
So 2 more items. Sure. Item 3 on page 3, parking and traffic. Rule number 1. You ask for relief. You don't want to provide car circulation patterns to all 24 parking spaces. Would it be reasonable to ask, or as a condition of approval, that after the hearing, you agree to meet with the Department of Engineering, Division of Traffic and Signals, and leave it to our office? We may not ask for all 24, but what you consider the most difficult spaces and what we consider could be different. As a condition of approval, engineering will require the final say what spots you're going to provide vehicle circulation patterns to. That's something you'd be willing to agree to.
Yeah, I would meet with them. That's no objection there.
So with the final determination, what spaces have vehicle circulation patterns shown will be made by our office, not yours.
That's fine. Yep.
Last question. You asked for relief about providing 80% TSS removal rate. I understand the reasons you gave. Would it be reasonable or fair to ask for at least an oil water separator, say at the trench drain at the entrance doorway? Because you will have cars coming in and out, especially during the winter months, tracking in snow and ice. And if cars do give off hydrocarbons, motor oil, gasoline, antifreeze, transmission fluid, etc., etc., etc. For that reason alone, would you be willing to provide an oil water separator at the trench drain and the exit drive?
Yeah, I don't think we'd be objected to some type of small treatment system to, catch those hydrocarbons and vehicle runoff. That shouldn't be a problem.
Right. Otherwise, as far as lighting goes, you can meet all the minimums required.
Yeah, I believe we can, yes.
Inside the parking garage, as well as pedestrian walkways in front and along the sides of the building and rear.
Yes.
All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, just for clarification, our application did contemplate respect to the illumination that we're no longer seeking those variances, that we're going to comply.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Commissioners, any questions or comments? for this witness? Hearing none. Next witness.
This time I'd call our architect, Dave Robinson.
Still sworn in, Mr. Becker.
Yes, Mr. Robinson, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful? You need to unmute yourself, Mr. Robinson.
There I am. Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address for the record.
My name's Dave Robinson. I'm a partner at Walnut Architects, Bruin Street in Newark, 74 Bruin Street in Newark, New Jersey.
Thank you, counsel.
Mr. Robinson, can you state your professional license, your background?
Yep, I've been a registered architect for over 20 years. I've been practicing architecture for about the same. Our office has been located for 20 years on Bruin Street here in Newark. And I'm a partner in the firm that's testified at this board, other boards in the city of Newark, as well as surrounding municipalities. My license is current.
Accepted by the board, please.
Thank you, Chairman.
So, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Roddy has walked us through the civil component of this project. He's already identified some of the variances that we needed with respect to the civil. I see that you're sharing your screen. Can you just walk us through, from an architectural standpoint, what we're proposing, and then I'll go into some of the planning comments that Mr. Barry asked us to provide.
Thank you, Marcia. So what we're proposing, as was already testified, is on an existing lot. This is a 5-story multi-use building with residential uses on the upper 4 floors and parking and a commercial space and accessory spaces for the residential on the ground floor. From the rendering, you can see that there's a mixture of materials that are here, and the 5th floor is slightly set back from the facade. It just allows for some private balconies for tenants that have those spaces facing the commercial corridor. What you can see here on the rendering also is that the entrance is located just below the address of the building, and the commercial space is to the immediate right of this facade. So go into the plans. Now, I want to just orient yourself. It's differently than the engineering. We tend to enter our buildings from the bottom. So Clinton Avenue, the commercial corridor, is at the bottom. So what you're seeing here is the ground floor. And our civil engineer has already mentioned the makeup of the building setbacks and parking. With respect to architecture, the lobby, as I said, is to the right, with the commercial space. It's just over 300 square foot of commercial space. For the retail component, the ownership really would love to have a convenience type of store that could, offer, basic necessities for people in the building and also in the neighborhood. And then, so you would enter the building to a common corridor. There is a elevator accessible from the lobby, and then with a small sitting area. And beyond that, there is a postal area where your mailboxes would be, and your packages that have come by via Federal Express or UPS. And then beyond that room is the area where the trash chute comes down from all the floors and is organized and managed by the superintendent of the building in this location. And then the rubbish will be removed from the outside door, which is the west side of the property, and then brought down to the street for private pickup, as the civil engineer testified. And then a slightly, blow up of the plan for the basement. The stair goes down to the basement. The elevator does not. There are meter rooms, the public utilities coming from below into the space, and there's a small storage area for building maintenance beyond that. That would be the extent of the lower level. And then, as testified, there is a pavers that go around the building Rather than covering the whole thing up with concrete, we thought it would be nice to have walking stones where grass could grow in between spaces, just to give it more of a pervious profile for the ground. So the typical floor is on the left, and this building is a mixture of multiple types of units, diversity of units. For studios, we have 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and a couple 3 bedrooms. For example, the studio is the blue, the orange is the 1 bedroom, the tan is the 2 bedrooms, and the purple is 3s. So on the second floor, we have some spaces that we are in the core of the building. We like to have is a green space where we have trees that are in pots that are the center of the building, so people can circulate around this common space. And the area that's identified as the greenish color, that will be open all the way up to the roof. So that would get the weather, it would get the breeze, and the trees be able to grow naturally from that area. And then also in the hallway in the gray, we have some amenity spaces, and there's going to be this is the second floor, so the third and fourth floor will also have the gray amenity space because there'll be a skylight going down to where the green exterior space is on the second floor. So, for example, on this floor, we're showing a sub-type of game room. The third floor could have a workspace for people that are working from home but don't want to be in their apartment. They could come to a shared space that has some Wi-Fi, and also there could be a third amenity space on the fourth floor, which could be a room that could house events that are managed by the building's management system, birthday parties or something like that. That's just an amenity space for the residents. So the top floor is the uniqueness of the top floor is, like I said, we pushed back the apartments to offer them some exterior space on the front, and we felt that was a good architectural technique to soften the height of the building, keeping the scale relative to the commercial corridor. I just want to note again, we're not seeking any height variances. This building complies with the maximum height. And if you go back to the rendering really quickly, we've ghosted in on the left and the right of the zone that is allowed on this commercial corridor. So if the neighbors were to build according to the zone and establish the streetscape of this commercial corridor, this is what the volumes would look like. So we just wanted to show that on the screen. The roof would be not accessible to any of the residents, only servicing. We have small mechanical equipment for each unit. And it's accessible by the stair. There is a parapet that surrounds the building. It's about 2 feet high. And we believe that the equipment will not be seen from the street because it's located in the center of the building, away from the edge, and the equipment is rather small. And then we're showing the skylight, that is cutting through all of the floors down to the second, to where those trees and pots are. And it shows the bulkhead of the elevator, which is necessary for equipment. And then again, a stepping back of the fifth floor front facade. These two elevations, the one on the bottom is the front elevation, and then the elevation to the top of the page is the right side elevation, which would be the west. Again, we're showing combinations of. Let me try to zoom in a little bit better for. Showing that there's materials of brick, there's some metal panels, there's some siding, and lots of windows, which we feel are clear glazed windows, and we're exposing the stair. We thought that it would be great to see the activity of people coming up and down the stair as part of the streetscape instead of keeping it enclosed. And then up top you can see the private terraces for the apartments that are on that side. The side of the building, windows, and then we have these, we call them privacy balconies where you can just, open the door, and the balcony does not really stick outside of the building. It's just at the edge. So it's a great way to experience, the exterior at your leisure. We call them a Juliet balconies. So that, it just offers that. And here you see the lighting for the landscape lighting, which is part of the building. The recessed lighting is in the wall. And then we have options for ventilation of the garage, where we think it's a combination of fresh air, but it's going to be controlled with HVAC for exhaust and for heating and cooling at the minimum required standards.
Dave, before you go to the next exhibit, for A104, I noticed that one of the comments from the planner respect to the signage, and you are reflecting signage on the A104. So I would like to have that marked as A2, that sheet A104.
Yep.
We will be discussing the need, the proposed signage for the residential and the commercial, and there's a variance that we are asking for. So if I just have marked sheet A4, as an exhibit. There's some slight modification based on the comments that Mr. Berry asked us to solicit.
What is that exhibit number? Would be A3 for you?
A2. That would be A2.
A2. Okay, you got it. Yeah. So just here we show that the signage of we're calling it a wall sign for the building, which is right now it shows as Clinton Heights as a name, and then in the lower right we're showing the signage for the store, which is just a window sign that's mounted in a light box on the interior portion of the store. I can zoom this really fast. It's compliant with the minimum, maximum, sizes for signage. I just want to point out the wall sign for the building, because it would require a variance because it is above the location is above the maximum level from the building. I think that the signage has to be within 4 feet of the top of the door. So although the sign is, small enough in terms of the proportion of the square footage of the facade, I think it's 26 square feet. It's just the location of this is where the variance is, where we require relief for the location. And just technically, what we're seeing here with the brick veneer is that these are three-dimensional letters that are stood off by, pins, and they are lit with a spotlight. And we feel that the colors have to be chromatically similar to the material beyond it, just because it is a variance location, and we just want to keep the sign as part of the architecture. It's not going to be bright letters. It's not going to be blinking. It's just, we thought it was a very clever way to kind of put a name on the building, but keep it tied to the architecture without it being a real typical sign.
Sure. So I just wanted, for clarity, for purposes of the record, there were, again, a number of questions that Mr. Berry had in his report. One of them was respect to the total area of the wall sign. We're not seeking relief with that. That's correct. We comply with that.
Correct.
We're 6 feet. We don't need a variance. And we're proposing one sign for the residential use. Is that correct, on the frontage?
Correct.
Okay. And then respect to the maximum number of window signs, that doesn't apply. You're talking about the variance is respect, not so much, you said, the height or the width. It's just the location being 4 feet above the window or lintel. Is that correct? So
correct.
That's really the relief that we're seeking.
Yes.
And respect to the commercial area, are we proposing any signage for that commercial space?
No.
Okay. And that's only the interior on the window?
Yeah, it's right above the door. Okay. The zone calls to be, 10% of the area of the glazing. We have about 80 square feet. So the sign can't be more than 8 square feet. So this sign is actually 6.
Continue.
So let me keep going here. So the other elevations are similar to the west elevation. The windows for the apartments with the Juliet balconies. These are cementitious siding, like the Hardy panel, and traditional stucco base where the masonry is, where the garage is. We have louvers, for the fresh air, and the lighting is there as well. And the back is very similar, with the cementitious siding, and the traditional stucco, concrete, stucco, finish at the base. And we just threw some materials here, what we think that are very high level, brick face, the siding itself, the metal panels, and then a pattern that we think is really attractive for the brick, as an option, to use multiple types of bricks and use in different manners. And below is a sample of what we envision as the wall sign for Clinton Heights. So there's it's the same color, but it shows dimension, and it's part of the architecture.
I'm just looking at it. Is that a new? Can we have that marked as an exhibit as well?
Yep. And material to be A3.
A3.
And again, the streetscape shows, the trees where we had originally shown them, and it's great that we can bring them back. I think that some of those trees on the east side of the property can probably stay, with the construction, coordination, adding some green spaces inside the building, and also for the terraces in the front, the lucky ones that have the space at the front. And this shows the garage door, which is going to be a glass. We see it as a translucent glass, an aluminum structure where it will glow at night. You can't see the activity in the glass, but it's just gonna it'll glow, and that could the lights could be managed. They can be turned off at a certain time if that was required, and it could be managed with motion sensing for safety. But we don't see. There's a window to the far left of the garage. We think that is also glazing that is translucent, where we really can't see into the space. You can see the cars parked there, but the glow of the light kind of helps the the commercial corridor streetscape when this block gets more and more developed as a commercial strip.
And then we talked about the layout. One of the questions, and then speaking with the applicant itself, as far as any security measures, access to the building, that this would be key fob, security, the butterfly system. If you can just briefly discuss that. I know we spoke about it with the applicant, but if you can just talk about from a security standpoint, what kind of security measures we're looking to put in the building.
Yeah, it's a great software. A lot of our buildings contain them. It's managed, on your phone. Building management could assess where and what you can open and not open. It's a great software. People will need to have either the key fob or their phone to get in. It's just going to be it's a really good way to manage the occupancy going in and out, as well as the cars. That's how you would get into to park your car in here. You'd have to have an arrangement made with the owner, with the supervisor of the building, previously to do that.
Right, and we also mentioned, as far as Ms. Barani mentioned, that maybe one of these units may be superintendent occupied, so there would be a superintendent on site on the property. Is that correct? In discussing with the applicant.
Yes, we did discuss that.
Last but not least, I know there are a couple comments on the new bird-friendly construction materials that we do intend to meet those requirements. Those are newly imposed guidelines based on the ordinance.
Yeah. We it's very common now. I think it's a great ordinance to include. A lot of the window manufacturers now offer striping as options. I think every building that we're going to work on is going to contain some version of that, threat warning, for birds, which is, sometimes it's even ultraviolet film that, humans, we can't see it, but birds can see it. It's really amazing. So I think it's a good thing. We'll meet it, the minimum requirement of it, and I think it's a good thing.
And last but not least, I made reference to the planner's report dated April 3rd, 2024, and we have no objections to making those conditions of approval. Is that correct?
Yes, no objections.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments for the architect? Hearing none, I think it's a nice building. It looks really good.
Thank you very much.
Next witness.
This time I'd like to call our planner, John McDonough.
Being sworn in, Mr. Beck.
Mr. McDonough, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you once again. Please state your name and your affiliation for the record.
Sure, my name is John McDonough and I am the project planner.
I think Mr. McDonough's license is still current as of his last testimony, so.
You're accepted by the board. Please continue, sir.
Take it away, Marcia.
Yes, you can go, John. Yes.
Okay. All right, again, Mr. Chair, we're going to just give you a couple of quick exhibits here. Again, I don't think I'll be long-winded on this one. It's a pretty straightforward application. You just heard the details of what is to come, and just to show you how this integrates with the site, we're looking at a vacant lot along Clinton Avenue. Clinton Avenue, as you know, is a targeted growth corridor in the city's master plan, the Newark 360, and kudos to the planning board, to your professional staff, and to the leadership here in the city for the foresight to take about a dozen or so key corridors here in the community and make them the targeted growth areas for projects such as this, pulling the larger projects out of the smaller neighborhoods and putting them on the corridors where you've got the transit amenities and you've got shopping amenities, good places where we should concentrate people. And this is one of those spots right here. On top of that, we've got a vacant lot as well, which there are numerous references in the master plan that the city wants to see these thousands of lots go away as well. So compliments to our applicant here, ready, willing, and able to make this vacant lot go away, and tastefully designing within the confines of the C2 zoning district, where we now have multi-level buildings being permitted as a principal use. And actually, as a conditional use, you can go up to 8 stories. Bearing in mind here, we're looking at a 5-story, 40-unit building, no density being needed, 24 parking spaces, no parking relief being needed as well. Substantial conformance with all the bulk requirements of the zoning in the C2 zone, not the least of which is the building height, the number of stories, and I just said density. Relatively modest relief related to the side yard setbacks, where 0 feet is actually the requirement. The applicant is providing more on both sides with 5 feet on either side, and you can see we've got vacant land on one side, we've got a parking lot on the other side. So certainly providing for additional light, air, and open space here is a public benefit that will benefit those adjacent land uses. In the rear, we're looking for a 14-foot setback where 20 foot would be the minimum required. Again, immediately adjacent to backyard space or open space, so no impact to light, air, and open space. And then finally, relief related to building coverage and lot coverage, which are slight upticks over that which is allowed. 81% for the building coverage, where 80% would be the maximum allowed. And then for the lot coverage, 87.6%, where 85% would be the maximum allowed. There's some transparency relief, which again, I think through Dave's testimony, as you just heard, the overall building package is going to be tastefully and attractively designed, where the intent of providing for adequate transparency and glazing in the buildings are actually met here to provide for aesthetic appeal. There's lower level design relief related to the sidewalk width at 2.5, where 5 feet is the minimum that's required, and the driveway width at 4 feet, where 5 feet would be the minimum required. Again, based on the testimony of Harrison at the outset, this site is going to be designed safely and efficiently in accordance with sound site planning standards, whereby the board can grant exception or relief or waiver from those site planning components, because the application as a whole would complement good planning principles. In terms of the balancing here, we look towards the project positives, the advancement of Purpose A, the promotion of the general welfare with new housing stock, a diversified mix of housing types, as you just heard through Dave's testimony, Purpose I, the promotion of a desirable visual environment, taking a void in the urban fabric and filling it with an attractive building with a massing is a good thing from a planning standpoint. And then purpose M, our planning goal to provide for a variety of uses according to the needs of all New Jersey citizens. And purpose M, the planning goal for efficient use of land, also goes towards the public betterment of taking vacant land and putting it back into functional use. Again, flipping over to the next exhibit is a vacant lot on a key corridor that is going to be repurposed and put into functional productive use, adjacent to a parking area now, and then also across the street from religious uses, a community center, some building massing as well. We think this is going to be a positive integration with the surrounding landscape and will certainly promote multiple purposes of zoning without creating any substantially adverse impacts to the public or to the zone plan and ordinance. With that, I would offer, based on all the testimony on the record, the applicant has met its burden under the law, the statutory criteria for relief are met, and approval is warranted. And with that, I'll hit a pause and take this off the screen.
And if I can just have that marked as A4 is the planning exhibit consisting of 4 pages. I will provide all this to the Madam Chair. I just want to amend, John, just to include that we are seeking that variance regarding the location of the signage, just to amend to include that.
Thank you for that, Marcia. And again, the predicate for that is the fact that it does not relate to the height of the sign. It only relates to the positioning of the sign above 4 feet above the door, which we're looking at a vertical element here. So I think it nicely integrates with that vertical element and complements the overall architecture. So it's tastefully done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Commissioner, you heard from the planner, architect, and engineer. Do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I got a question.
Commissioner Purdy.
Yes, all the units are supposed to be affordable?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I think they're 100% affordable.
Okay, great. Great.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments from the public?
There is one. 2.
Okay. Let's get them sworn in.
3. It should be cool. Yeah.
Is it Miss? Good evening, Mr. Powell. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is truly truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Once again, please state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Janice Follow, Pavilion Apartments, City of Newark, New Jersey. So I have I have several questions.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes, so
okay. Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. I thank you for Chair Richardson for addressing the trees. Clinton Avenue does not have a lot of trees, and cutting down 16 trees and then replacing them with 8 or 9 for that type of project, it's a lot. And when we say that we're going to be donating to the Tree Foundation, that doesn't mean that it's going to help that particular area or the city of Newark. The other thing is that you were talking about the basement and and with the gas and electric. So everything is not going to be electric in this building. It's just going to be gas and electric. Or are you doing everything electric, like the appliances? Is the stove going to be electric? Or are you having gas stove?
This is the architect, Dave Robinson. Typically, buildings like this, and I think we're doing this with this applicant, is that the cooking is going to be gas. Everything else is going to be electric. The Hot water heaters are going to be electric, and the HVAC system is obviously electric.
Okay.
But yeah.
So, Mr. Robinson, you are aware that advocates like myself is pushing to have new development with electric. And my other thing is, would there be, what are the amenities in the apartments? No laundry, washer and dryers, or everything goes to the basement?
No, every unit has a laundry facility.
Okay. The other thing that I'm concerned about is the trash. You're saying that the trash will have bins in the basement, or will they be outside from the chutes? How is that going to work?
Yeah, in every hallway there's a chute room where residents would put their refuse in the chutes. It would drop down to the main level beyond the lobby area where it's managed and converted into bins that are brought outside.
The bins will be brought outside?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
my question is
on collection days.
Okay, so my question is, where would these bins be placed? In the front of the building for the garbage trucks to come?
Yeah, they would arrange a private hauler to come to collect the bins. When they're scheduled. How it's managed, and the time frames I'm not aware of, but it's something that's done in a lot of buildings like this size.
Yeah, but that blocks up the traffic and holds up the traffic on Clinton Avenue. Am I correct? Because you're talking about a 5-story building.
Yeah, and this sidewalk is 16 feet wide, deep. So this sidewalk, they wouldn't be in the street. So they would be on, the building's property. So that the supervisor who's going to live in this building will coordinate the timing exactly. So ideally, they wouldn't be out very long because that, system will be managed.
So my question is, they will empty the trash into the particular garbage truck, or would they take the bins and return them?
No, I believe they'd be dumped, or bagged and dumped, from in the containers. It's they'll have to manage the system, be very clean. Washing, a lot of washing. There's going to be water service where this area is. So it's going to be, an area that's going to be cleaned and processed. With bagging things, putting in the pails, and brought to the street for pickup. So.
And how many apartments is going to be in this building?
There's 40.
40 apartments, and you're only looking at having this done once a week? You're going to have a lot of bins, huh?
Well, I think they'll do it on the need. So if they have to do it times a week, that's what will happen. It's ideally not to have the refuse in the building, very long. So it's part of the management system to find the ideal schedule.
So, I believe the testimony was to the extent that it stated that it would be increased. There would be a superintendent on site. So if there's additional need to have more pickups, and certainly it's our intent not to have garbage spill on the street. So that will be modified. I don't think that's absolute that it would be 1 week. That would just respect to determine if there's going to be a private hauler or not.
Yeah, because as being working in that particular area, the upper and lower Clinton Hill, we are very concerned, my organization, and we want to make sure that Clinton Avenue stays a well-maintained area, especially that particular area. I think that that's it. Thank you for your time.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Appreciate your comments.
I'm sorry.
Next, not witness, but is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Yes, we have 2 more.
Get the next one sworn in.
Who do we have, Carissa?
I don't want to chop up his name.
I don't have anybody on my screen.
There's a gentleman. Can you speak for her, please?
My name is Nee Ablade Ajogo 2.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes,
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Nee Ablade Ajogo 2, 62 Haddon Terrace, Newark, New Jersey.
And you have 3 minutes to speak. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question. One quick question. In reference to the unit mix. I know that you have some 1 bedroom and 3 bedrooms, but based on your floor plan, there was like a peach color, and I couldn't figure out whether there was 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom or another version of a 1 bedroom. And then the second part of the question is, in the entire building, what is the unit mix and the square footage of the units?
Okay, this is Dave Robinson, the architect. I could speak to that. Excuse me. So the mix of units in the building, there's going to be 4 studios, 12 1-bedrooms, 20 2-bedrooms, and 4 3-bedrooms. And then the color, let me go back to my plan here. Either peach color or the 1-bedrooms. The 2-bedrooms are the sort of tan or yellow. I don't know if I can share my screen again. Let me see if I can do that really quick. There's so many windows open here. Bear with me, sorry guys.
Taking up my time, Dave. Let's go.
Sorry. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so like on a typical floor, which is the on the left, the 2 bedrooms are all the yellow.
Okay.
The peach are the 1-bedrooms. The studios are the blue, and then the 3 bedrooms are purple.
So the yellow are 2 bedrooms?
Yes. And they're essentially in the corners.
Uh-huh.
And then down the side of the facing east.
Oh, okay. I see it now. Now. So studios 1 and 2s and 4 3s.
Exactly.
In the corner. Okay. And just to reiterate, because I was hearing a couple of different things in terms of the trees. I saw on the rendering that there were the 4 in the rear, but then I counted 5 in the front. Is that accurate or?
Yeah, this is Harrison Farney with I'm a civil engineer. The landscaping plans shown on the engineering plans would be the ones that would be planted. So I had 4 trees in the back. We're going to look to add more, in the rear, and we're going to look to keep as much as we can in the front of the property to dress up the property without, having an obstruction to drivers.
Okay. All right, that's all my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Madam Secretary.
We have one more.
Good evening. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, yes, hi, good evening.
All right. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. It's Valerie Hayes, 88 Van Ness Place, Newark, New Jersey, 07108.
Thank you.
And yes, I just had some questions just for clarification, actually. Now, the setback from the Clinton Avenue, is that going to match the setback of the funeral home next door? Desk, in other words.
Yeah, I'm not aware of this is the engineer speaking. I'm not aware of the current setback of the funeral home, but based on how far away from the street it is, it looks to be similar, I would say.
I'm sorry, looks to be what?
Looks to be similar based on Google Earth or looking at the site that way, but I don't have an exact number if it matches exactly or not. I can't say. I don't have that number.
Okay, because that's okay. All right. Well, that would be good if it can match the setback. And in the rear setback, you said it was going to be 14 feet instead of the 20.
That's correct.
And is that going to be grass?
It's going to be grass. Yeah, it's going to be grass with like a landscape perimeter. So we're trying to keep it open for the residents to use.
Okay. Now, is there going to be any other green space that the residents can use? Because as the lady said before, I didn't get her name. Newark is a heat island, and environmentally, we're like number 2 or number 3 in the nation. So I just was wondering if this is going to have like a green roof or anything like that. What kind of green technology is going to be anything being used in this building? Since it's so close on the main avenue.
Right. And
it's going to be at least 40 to 50, 60 people maybe living in a space like that.
Right. As far as green space goes, the rear of the site is really all that we are able to provide based on the size of the lot. It is a small lot. And to accommodate a lot of green space, we have to give up a lot of area and build higher, essentially really high building, which is prohibited in this area. And as far as like energy efficient items, I believe the architect can speak to what type of elements are being proposed within the building itself. For that.
Dave, you mentioned your testimony, like the Energy Star efficiency. That was one of the questions of any green building sustainability. Just briefly, maybe you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean all the appliances will be Energy Star appliances. The roof itself is not an accessible roof for the residents, but it is a cool roof. So it has the albedo factor where it won't generate heat. And we try to keep as much pervious material around the building, especially in the backyard. We're calling it all pervious with grass and a canopy of trees in the back. We're going to work hard to save as many of those trees on the east side of the building. And see if we can coordinate those with the construction. I think we probably can keep a lot of those trees. And now we know we can bring street trees back out to the public right away, which is a bonus for us because we didn't like to see those trees leave as well. We're not recycling any water. We're not using any kind of thermal technologies here. We feel that the bringing the amenity space inside the building is going to be really helpful to the not only for spaces outside, but bringing some of the outdoor spaces into the building. So that would be the extent of the green practices that we're doing here for this project.
Because down the street there's the Genesis apartment. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I know I don't have much time, but they made their setback so that there's. Yes, I understand that, but then they have a green roof. So I'm just wondering because the Newark has that issue.
Understood, but your time is up. Thank you so much.
That's it, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay.
Chair, just wanted just one clarification on the question on the affordability. So this is subject to an affordable housing trust fund. This would be a fully compliant IZO and exceed at least 30%. Just wanted to clarify that as far as affordable housing. We haven't determined our AMI mix yet. So just wanted to make clarification on that. That was one of the questions that was asked.
Commissioner, any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Co-Chair Richard.
Thank you, Chair Richardson. Ms. Moore, you're saying that the mix of the strategies of affordability haven't been decided?
Yeah.
Low, moderate?
We haven't determined that the level of the AMI mix 40 to 68. We'll work that out. But just wanted to, for clarity, just to put that on the record. We haven't determined affordability as far as the AMI levels or will be subject to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Purdy.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Byers. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes, application has been approved. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
One other thing, when do you propose to start? How soon?
As soon as we can get to compliance. As soon as possible. I know that I've been working with this developer, with Ms. Hamlet. We want to get this moved in as soon as possible. So we'll be working on those revisions and get done, but within the next year or so. Jason?
Understood. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a nice project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Let's move to CPB 20-56. Lisa Romeo.
We have Chris Murphy for this one.
Oh, okay, Mr. Murphy. I think he has 2 extensions. Right?
Yes.
Hi, good evening, Chair, members of the
Chris.
board. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you, man.
It's a different look. It's been a while. I'm aged. I've aged many years over this past year, but it's good to see. It's really good to see everybody. Chris Murphy here on behalf of Applicant Memory Group LLC. This should be very short. We're here for an extension. This project was approved in March of 2021. The applicant is ready to pull building permits, has gone through resolution compliance. And when we went to go pull building permits, they said you need an extension on your planning board application. So I worked with the board attorney, and Ms. Carissa was great, and we're asking for an 18-month extension. It's not 18 months from today; it's retroactive. So we'll be able to go back and pull our building permits, very shortly. This is the last step. So we're just asking for an extension. In working with the board attorney and Chris, we determined an 18-month extension was appropriate, which technically brings us to October 5th, 2024. But the applicant's ready to pull those permits. We've gone through resolution compliance. This is just the final step.
Thanks, sir. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public?
Chair, if I may, Chris, I know we've already talked about this, but we are waiting for the additional payment for the
This can be subject to that, but that'll be paid tomorrow morning, Chris.
Okay. Just so we have it on record.
Yeah, I believe my clients paid it. We just something must have slipped through the cracks there. I'll get it over to you tonight, actually.
Okay.
Thank you. Any persons from the public wishing to speak?
Not at this time, Chair Richardson.
Okay, in that case, I need a motion on this 18-month extension, which will bring us to October 2024. Is there a mover?
18 months.
Moved by Co-Chair Richard, second by Commissioner Byers. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes. Your extension has been approved. Let's go to CPB 21-42. Mr. Murphy.
Great. Thank you again, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Here on behalf of the applicant, we're seeking an extension. We've been before this board for multiple extensions. We are at the 1 yard line. We're only requesting a 3-month extension. This subdivision will be perfected within the next 30 days. We're giving ourselves a tiny buffer and working with the board attorney and Ms. Carissa. We're asking for a 3-month extension that will bring us to June 21st, 2024. This project will be finalized and subdivision will be completed and perfected by that date.
So if I might just make a suggestion, just ask for 6 months just in case. You never know.
Mr. Chair, I agree with you. I think we were just trying to be as we wanted to make sure we weren't seeming greedy with our extensions. We'll take that.
6 months.
Yeah, so that would bring us to September of 24.
So make sure you have enough time.
Thank you, sir.
Board, any questions or comments? Madam Secretary, any questions or comments from the public?
Not at this time, Chair.
In that case, I need a mover and a second.
Move it, Purdy.
Moved by Commissioner Purdy.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jordan. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan? Yes. Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes. Your extension has been approved. Have a good night. Good luck.
Great seeing everyone. Take care.
Take care, Chris. I
Thanks,
love
Chris.
the beard, buddy.
Looks good, right?
Yeah, man.
See you guys.
Take care.
Thanks.
Let's move to CPP 24-18. Miss Way. This is last, but certainly not least.
Now what?
I
get bored.
Please mute your device. We don't want to hear your conversation. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair.
Good evening.
This is Jennifer Mathaway, on behalf of the applicant and with K&L Gates. I just want to make sure that my team has raised their hands and been elevated. I see Michaela, our engineer. I see John, our planner. I'd like Miles Berger, if he hasn't already raised his hand, and Ed Rawlings, our architect. We have several folks that want to come up, Chair, but they don't all necessarily need to speak. We just want to be prepared in case there are any questions that we have our whole team here and available for that. Okay. I think I've got everybody. So if you're ready, Chair, I can start my presentation.
The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. Again, Jennifer Mathaway with Walnut K&L Gates. I'm here this evening on behalf of 10 Park Place, Newark, LLC. We are here with a very exciting project for the board to consider. It is a rehabilitation and conversion of an historic office building. You may know it as the Fireman's Insurance Building or the Fireman's Building located at 10 Park Place in downtown, and converting it from an office building into a mixed-use residential project. So the property is located at Block 17, Lots 7, 9, and 10, and the addresses are 2-4, 6, and 8-12 Park Place. In the city of Newark, Central Ward, in the Living Downtown Redevelopment Area, also located within the Military Park Commons Historic District. We are proposing a conversion, as I mentioned, from a vacant office building to a residential project with mixed-use commercial space on the lower level and first floor level. 231 units, all, and this will be a 100% affordable project. Very excited about that. With regards to commercial space, there is approximately 6,400 square feet of space on the ground floor that will be commercial, and approximately 10,000 square feet in the lower level of the building that will be commercial. In preparation for this evening's hearing, we published notice of this hearing in the March 27th edition of the Star Ledger. In addition, notices were sent to property owners and others entitled to notice on March 29th, and signs were also posted at the property at least 10 days in advance. We do require some relief from the board with regards to this proposal. The driveway width, and you'll hear about this through our engineer and our architect, and then obviously through John McDonough's testimony, but the width of the proposed driveways are non-compliant with the zoning as well as we will, in some places, will be exceeding the maximum permitted foot candles for lighting, and also insufficient shade trees on the street, and will provide testimony with regard to that relief as well. We are in receipt of letters, reports from the board's professionals. We have a March 26th engineering report, an April 3rd planning report, and an April 8th water and sewer report. The applicant has no objection to complying with the items contained in those reports. We do have some clarifications to a few of those reports, and that we will discuss during our testimony in chief. The board will briefly hear from Miles Berger, the owner and applicant of this project. Then we'll hear from our engineer, Michaela McGuire from Stonefield Engineering, Ed Rawlings from Rawlings Architecture, who's our architect, and finally John McDonough, our planner. We have our traffic engineer available from Stonefield if the board sees that is necessary, although I believe Ms. McGuire will be able to answer any particular traffic or parking questions. And with that, I'd like to call my first witness, and I'd like to call Miles Berger.
Good evening, Mr. Berger. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Affirm.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
Miles Berger. I'm the managing member of 10 Park Place Associates, the applicant. And that's it.
Thank you. Counsel?
Thank you. Miles, I just have a few introductory questions for you, for the board, with regard to the project that we're proposing. With regard to the Fireman's Insurance Building, are there any tenants in that building currently?
The building is vacant.
And it has been vacant since 2020, is that correct?
Correct.
In connection with our proposal, we're also seeking some access and site configuration that would be on 2 Park Place. Is that correct?
Yes.
And 2 Park Place, there's a building on 2 Park Place currently. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's called the Sidington House?
Yes.
Is that building currently vacant as well?
Yes, that building is also vacant.
Thank you. With regard to our project that's being proposed here this evening, have you or has the ownership team sought any tax credits, historic tax credits for this project?
Yes, we have.
And have you received federal historic tax credit for this project?
Yes, we have received the approval B, I think it's called, and that's permission to go ahead with the project.
And that's for federal historic tax credit, correct?
Federal historic tax credit, yes.
And in advance of coming to the board this evening, did we present this project also to the Newark Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission?
Yes, we did.
And we were approved there as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for Mr. Berger at this point. If there are questions that come up later that we'd be able to answer, we certainly can come back.
Okay. Let's get to your witnesses.
I'd like to call Michaela McGuire.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation for this application.
My name is Michaela McGuire, last name spelled Maguire, and I'm a project manager at Stonefield Engineering and Design, located at 92 Park Ave in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Thank you, Michaela. Could you give the board a brief description of your educational background and your license, please?
Certainly. So I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. My license is in good standing. I received my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Delaware. I have over 6 years of experience in land development, specifically in New Jersey with site civil engineering. I've worked on over 40 mixed-use residential developments similar to the one before you tonight.
And have you been found to be an expert in other planning boards or zoning boards?
Yes, I've been accepted as an expert in front of the City of Newark Zoning Board, as well as other municipalities in the state.
Thank you. And your license is current, correct?
Correct.
And good standing?
Correct.
Thank you. Chair?
You're accepted by the board, please continue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michaela, in your role at Stonefield, have you had an opportunity to review the plans that were prepared for this application this evening?
Yes, I have.
And will you be able to share your screen and please walk the board through the current condition at the property and the proposed conditions?
Yes, I can. So can everyone see my screen that I just shared?
Yes.
Perfect. So what I have pulled up here is the preliminary and final major site plan that was prepared by our office, included in the submission package, and dated December 15th, 2023. And I am on the cover sheet, sheet C1, and I'm just going to zoom in into the aerial and tax and zoning map. So the subject property is located at 10 Park Place in the city of Newark, also known as Block 17, Lots 7, 9, and 10. The site is 0.89 acres, or 38,615 square feet. It has two frontages, one along Park Place, that's about 154 feet long, and then the other along Rector Street, that is about 291 feet long. The site currently is developed with 3 buildings. All 3 buildings are currently vacant. There is a 3-story building at the corner of Park Place and Rector Street. There's also an existing 2-story building that's along Rector Street, and then there's an existing 10-story building that is along the eastern and southern property limits. There is 1 vehicular access point onto the site currently, which is along Rector Street. I'm going to move down to the site plan, sheet C4, and just zoom into this development here. So the site is currently located in the Living Downtown redevelopment area. As part of this development, we are proposing to renovate the existing 10-story building on site into a mixed-use building, which is permitted in this zone. We are proposing 231 residential units, as well as commercial space within the building. The existing 3-story building at the corner of Rector and Park is proposed to remain as part of this application, as well as the existing 2-story building that is along Rector Street. As part of the site plan improvements, we are proposing to reconstruct the main entrance into the building, as well as the driveways and parking facilities on site.
And the main entrance, if I can just stop you for a quick second, Michaela, I'm so sorry. But the main entrance that we're reconfiguring, that will also become an ADA, that will be then ADA compliant, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So from a circulation perspective, we are proposing a right ingress only driveway along Park Place. It's right in between the existing 3-story building and the 10-story building on site. We are proposing this driveway width to be 15 feet. As noted in the engineering and planning review letters, we will need to seek a waiver. The maximum width permitted for commercial use is 12 feet, whereas the residential use is 10 feet. We are proposing this driveway at 15 feet in order for vehicles to safely be able to maneuver from Park Place onto the site. And then as you travel towards Rector Street, we are proposing a left ingress, left egress driveway, as Rector Street is currently a one-way street traveling westbound. For this driveway, we are proposing a 24-foot width. For residential use, 20 feet is the maximum. For commercial use in the City of Newark Code, 24 feet is the maximum. So we are compliant with the commercial aspect. However, we do need to seek relief for the residential width of 20 feet. We do believe for this use and circulation that 24 feet is adequate and safe for this driveway. As you travel into the site, we are proposing a roundabout drop-off area with 3 short-term parking spaces. I do want to note that these will not be permanent parking spaces for any of the residents on site. They're really intended for short-term parking, pickup, drop-off, deliveries such as Uber Eats, etc. We are proposing one of those 3 short-term parking spaces to be ADA accessible. Based off the intended use of these to be short-term and our review of the code, we don't believe an EV space would be required since these will not be permanent parking spaces on site. Based off the redevelopment plan and the proposed use, no parking spaces are required on site, so we are meeting the city code for the parking that we are proposing as part of this development. We do want to note that we are within 1,200 feet of a light rail station. It's about a 5-minute walk from the site. We're also within about a 13-minute walk to Penn Station, as well as there are 13 NJ transit bus routes accessible within a 2-minute walk of the site. So it's a very transit-friendly development. In addition,
Sorry, Michaela, I think you're going to the question that I was going to raise about parking. Go ahead.
In addition, there are 4 off-street parking garages within an 8-minute walk of the site if any residents did want to have a car in the city of Newark. Regarding the operations, we are proposing to maintain the existing loading area that is adjacent to the property on lot 20. It's to the east of our site. This loading area would be utilized for any loading for the commercial uses, any move in, move out that would occur. Residents could coordinate with property management in order to rent out that space for their move in, move out. And we also are proposing this area to be utilized for the trash pickup. We are proposing an internal trash room, which I will let the architect talk to more, but that would be rolled out by property management. And again, this area would be utilized. We did see that there was comments again in the engineering and review letters regarding any agreements or easements in this area. The applicant does understand that they do need to obtain an agreement, and such will be forwarded to the city once we obtain it. Regarding the frontages, we are proposing both the Rector Street and Park Place frontage to be reconstructed to be ADA compliant with new curbing and new sidewalk. We did have the technical review meeting with the city in March, and we did agree to replace the entire extent of the Park Place frontage in front of the existing steps that are to remain. We also did agree to propose 2 ADA accessible ramps at the corner of Rector Street and Park Place in lieu of the one that's currently proposed right now. We are proposing ADA accessible paths from both frontages into the main entrance. So there's one along Park Place to the north of the 10-story building. And then there's also one along Rector Street with a ramp with handrails to the left of the 2-story building that's to remain. There are 2 different items that are existing that are projecting into the right-of-way that was noted in the engineering letter that we did want to mention. So there are existing stairs coming out of the building on the west side along Park Place that we are intending to remain. And then there's also a wall along Rector Street, a brick wall that we are proposing to remain as well. The applicant does agree to work with the city to obtain any agreements that may exist, and if there are none that exist, we do agree to work with the city to put any agreements in place in order for these 2 items to remain on site. We are proposing 5 new street trees within the frontages. So on Rector Street, we're proposing 4. On Park Place, we're proposing 1. And then we're also proposing 4 of the existing street trees to remain, which are all at this corner of Rector Street and Park Place, a total of 9 street trees. Based off the linear feet of frontage and the street trees being placed 35 feet apart, we do require 13 street trees. So we are seeking relief for the amount of street trees proposed. There are a couple limitations regarding these, one of them being the steps that intrude into the right-of-way. And then we also have utility runs along Rector Street. We do agree to work with the city arborist and agree to pay into the tree fund for any insufficient trees required. We're also...
Can we stay on that for just a quick second, Michaela, because I think the planner mentioned in the planner's review letter, there's a mention about trees, but also the tree caliper. Is that relief that we continue to need, or can we meet the tree caliper requirement?
We can revise the landscaping plan to meet the tree caliper requirement of 3 to 4 inches.
Great, thank you.
We are also proposing 4 trees on site within the parking and drop-off area, which does meet the city requirements for the number of trees within a parking area. From a stormwater perspective, per the City of Newark requirements, we are a major development. We are proposing an underground detention basin within this parking and drop-off area. And then we are also proposing all of the proposed utility connections into the Rector Street right-of-way to the mains that run along that road. We did receive the stormwater comments from the city, as well as the water and sewer comments from the City of Newark. We agree to comply with any of the comments in both of those. Regarding the lighting, all the lights on site are proposed to be LED and downward-facing fixtures. They're designed to provide safe vehicular and pedestrian access. Per the engineering and planning review letters, we do agree to revise the lighting plan to meet any of the required minimums for the pedestrian walkways, the bikeways, and the entrance requirements. So we do agree to update the lighting in order to comply with any of those comments. We do want to note we would likely still be seeking relief for those maximums in order to raise the foot candles in those areas. We do anticipate that some of the foot candles will still be higher than those maximums in those areas. But again, that's because we do want to provide a safe pedestrian access at those walkways and entrances. The other location we wanted to touch on was the maximum foot candles at a property line. We are seeking relief specifically for the loading area for that. We do have 2 wall packs on the east side of the building, and that is in an effort to maintain a safe lighting for this loading area. But that is resulting in the foot candles along this property line to be higher than what's permitted. In general, I do want to note that we had a technical review meeting with the city professionals on March 13th, and we've reviewed both the city engineering and the water and sewer comments, and do agree to work with the city to satisfy any of their comments. With that being said, happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Michaela.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I have a question, Chairman.
Commissioner Byers.
Yeah, when you talk about 100% affordable, does that mean 100% affordable housing, Chairman?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's 100% affordable.
Right. Another thing.
We know what the AMI is going to be. Hold on, Commissioner.
So I believe, Chair, it's an average of 50%. This project will be receiving low-income housing tax credits from the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. So they ultimately will, their rules will ultimately determine the amount of the AMI, but I believe they average out to 50%. I'm going to just ask someone on my team to confirm that for me. Give me a thumbs up, or
Commissioner Byers, go ahead. Continue, please.
Yeah, and also when I talk about commercial space, that's going to be only in the first floor. Is that right?
So, Commissioner, I believe there are 2 commercial spaces that are proposed, one on the ground floor, one on the lower level. The lower level, obviously, is accessible through an elevator. And our architect will speak more to that when he testifies next.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Chair, I've also been told that I believe the overall average AMI is going to be closer to 54%. But again, that's typically governed by what the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency is telling us with regard to the low-income housing tax credit.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Charles Trafficante has his hand up.
Mr. Trafficante.
Mr. Trafficante, you still under oath?
Oh, all right. Thank you. Ms. McGuire, a couple questions. The engineering report to the planning board dated March 26th, on page 4, under item 4, Roman numeral 17. The site plan and survey both show an existing oil fill cap within the public right of way for Rector Street as in front of subject lot 10, block 17. Applicant property owner shall provide testimony to the board as to what this oil fill cap is for and who it belongs to, and should it be part of an underground oil storage tank to heat the existing church within subject lot 10, what approvals of easements have the applicant property owner obtained from the city of Newark to allow this existing oil fill cap and storage tank to be placed within the public right of way for Rector Street. Can you answer that?
So we have, we've reviewed the survey, we've reviewed if any permits exist that we know of. We did not find anything based off of OPA requests, but we do agree to review to see if there is in fact a tank or anything on site, and if so, go through the proper permitting with the DEP to have it removed.
So you do plan to remove and do any remediation, soil abatement should be determined it needs it, and that tank's leaking or has holes or rotted out. Anything like that, your client will address as far as soil abatement, remediation.
I think what Mr. McGuire is saying is we'll continue the investigation. We could not determine that there was in fact a tank on site, but we will do that as a condition of this approval.
All right, and should there one be on the public right of way, you're gonna remove it?
Is this something in the public right of way or on lot 10?
Yes, it's on our street.
We will agree to work with the city and the DEP to remove it if needed and get any permits that would be required with the DEP.
If I may though, Mr. Trafficante, if it's in the street, why would it be our responsibility?
If it belongs to the church.
Okay, so we'd have to determine that it belongs to the church. I understand.
Well, who else would it belong to? It's right next to the church.
Well, I don't know.
All right, well,
and I guess I would say
the
on the
building
record,
right next door. All right. Last two questions. Page 5 of the engineering report, Roman numeral 18. Site plan and survey both show existing parking meters located within a public right of way for Park Place and Rector Street that are in front of the subject lots. Which I'll provide testimony to the board as to how they intend to keep the metered parking spaces in front of the subject site on both Park Place and Rector Street during construction. Which I'll also obtain a letter of approval from the Newark Parking Authority, granting permission to temporarily remove and then later replace the existing metered parking spaces during construction, should it be necessary prior to the start of construction activities. Again, Ms. McGuire, can you address that? Let's just start with the parking meters.
So with the proposed development, under the proposed condition, they can all remain in place with the driveway. Under construction, we don't anticipate that any of them would need to be temporarily removed, but we do agree if they are needed to work with the parking authority. But majority of the construction and or utility runs into Rector Street would be more to the east of the property versus the west where those 4 parking meters are located.
But as a condition of approval, would your client be willing to obtain a letter of approval from the Newark Parking Authority, granting permission to temporarily remove and then later replace the existing parking meters during construction, should it be necessary?
Correct. If it is needed, we agree.
But to be clear, if I may be clear about the condition, we won't know if it's necessary until we're, I guess, preparing the construction staging, that kind of plan. So I would not want to hold that up. I would not want that condition to hold up our ability to go receive building permits.
All right. But it's an understanding that
I think it is an understanding, absolutely. Yes. I don't want to get hung up on that at a time when we otherwise might be ready to submit.
Last
yes.
Page 5. Item 4, Roman numeral 19, site plan and survey, both show an existing alley on the adjoining property that is located east of the subject site that the applicant intends to use as their outdoor loading unloading zone. Applicant property owner shall provide testimony to the board as to what approvals, easements have they been granted by the owner of the adjoining property, which we believe is New Jersey Pack, located to the east of the existing building within the subject site to use this existing alleyway as their own private loading zone. Can you address that, Ms. McGuire?
I think, if I may, Mr. Applicant, I think Ms. McGuire addressed that already during the direct. She indicated that the applicant would receive any required agreement or easement necessary for that. It has historically been used as such. I will say that for the record, but yes, we will do that. We'll obtain whatever is required, whether it's an agreement or easement to satisfy that condition.
For now, none exists.
That's correct.
So is that fair to make that a condition as well? Yes?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next witness. Oh, I'm sorry, commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none, next witness.
Thank you. I'd like to call Ed Rawlings.
Good evening, Mr. Rollins. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation to this application.
I am Ed Rawlings, Principal Rawlings Architects. We are the architect for the project.
Thank you. Counsel?
Thank you. Mr. Rawlings, could you please let the board know, are you a licensed professional architect in the state of New Jersey?
I am a licensed professional architect in the state of New Jersey, currently in good standing, and have appeared before other municipalities in New Jersey in a similar fashion.
And you've been qualified as an expert in those other situations?
Yes, I have.
Have you testified before this board?
I do not believe I testified for this particular board, but I did testify for the historic portion of this project.
Thank you. Chair?
Accept the bottom board, please, for the service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ed, if you'd like to share your screen, and before we do that, let me ask you, as the architect testifying this evening, are you familiar with the plans with which you're going to share with the board this evening?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So if you don't mind sharing your screen, and if you could talk the board through what we're proposing here. I did mention in my opening this is a rehabilitation of an existing building. And so if you could share with the board the plan for the floor plans and the plan for the units, etc.
Very good. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so, and I'll just back up a little bit. But first of all, I just want to thank everybody for letting us be here. And I know the evening is drawing on. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll try to make it as quick as I can. For our firm, this is a very, very exciting project. It's a historic building that's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Fireman's Insurance Company building is a 10-story building, as you know, featuring classical revival ornamentation on the facade, on its major two facades, both on Rector Street and, of course, Park Place, being right next to NJ Pack. It's also an exciting project because it's an adaptive reuse of a historic structure. It's in the important downtown Newark area, and it's also right adjacent to the NJ Pack Arts and Education District. What we're proposing is a full restoration of the existing building, including its exterior, window replacement with energy efficient windows, and a new electrification of the building. So we will be taking out all of the steam systems, all of the gas-fired and oil-fired systems, and replacing everything with electric, including cooking. And the HVAC systems will be new electric, energy-efficient heat pump systems. The unit, as mentioned previously, there will be 231 units. Of those, there will be 68 studios, 116
1-bedrooms, 42 2-bedrooms, and 5 3-bedrooms. And here again this is just the cover sheet of a application, and I will just reduce that so it's the full page. The site plan, which we've been over, we did list the units, and again, there's 231 units there. And then, of course, the ground floor, which you've heard about from Michaela and of Stonefield, the access and ingress. The main entrance to the residential use will be in this location at the eastern end of this courtyard space, which will be landscaped with greenery and then also provide ADA access for this level change, as Michaela explained. And then the main lobby of the building is off of this main entrance here, with service off of this alley here, which was historically used for that. And as mentioned, an easement is being negotiated currently with NJPAC for this both drop-off, refuse, etc., that has recently been discussed. Over on the west side of the loggia of the building, the main hall, if you like, or the bank space, will remain as the commercial space, and then space below it, which I'll show you shortly, in the cellar space, will also be commercial space contiguous with that ground floor commercial space. There will be vertical circulation, handicap circulation here, down to that cellar space, which I'll show you in a moment, and then apartments begin on the first floor over here. Now, one of the really amazing things about this building is the east-west portion of the building is column-free. In other words, the structure is spanning wall-to-wall, which is quite unusual. And the floor-to-floor heights of the building are also spectacular. The first floor is on the order of 20 feet. The second floor is similar, and the 10th floor is also in the range of 20 foot floor to floor. So we are proposing duplex apartments on those 3 floors. The rest of the floors will be flats. Cellar space, again, commercial space here in the hatched area, and then various back of house spaces here in the cellar. Compactor room in the northeast portion of the building where the trash chute brings refuse down, and then it can be brought out via the elevators to the first floor, as we've mentioned, out to this alley and containers over in this location, taken care of by private carting. First floor again, and I'll just zoom in on this. I'll go kind of quickly, and then if people have questions, we can come back to it. So these are those double height spaces, especially on the second floor, with stairs coming up from the space below and sleeping above. So on the space below, sorry, bear with me 1 second, apologize. On the space below, we have the stairs coming up, and then the dotted line represents the mezzanine portion of the upper apartments. And scrolling through, typical floor plan, we have mostly studios in this east-west portion of the building, and when we submitted it, we did show small space up above on the second floor, and then at the third floor as well. Those will be removed, and these will be single floor studio apartments. Elevators are over in this portion of the building, and they will be providing elevator access to the building, common or utility space. I'm sorry, it's building storage space over here, where there's a portion of the building that doesn't have windows on the third floor. Typical floor, there are apartments all the way around the building with an L-shaped circulation corridor. And I should add that the building will be fully sprinklered, and will have 2 stairs, and so all of the egress is within the building, and no emergency escape rescue openings will be required for the apartments. Typical upper floors. One of the changes that we have discussed is this had currently shown elevator access to the roof. We are no longer proposing that. We are proposing only mechanical equipment up on the roof. So this outdoor rec space is not proposed, nor is this elevator. And then,
And could we stay on the roof for a minute? I'd like to just
yes, please.
pose
Yeah.
a couple of questions from the planner's report.
Yes, please.
So I just would ask if you can comply. There's a question from the planner's report, but there's a requirement with regard to the size of the rooftop mechanical equipment, and that it be provided on the roof or a structure to be set back from all exterior walls, a distance at least equal to its height above the parapet cornice line of the building. And can you confirm that the roof plan and the roof mechanicals will comply with the city's ordinance?
Yes, I can. We will comply with that ordinance, set back from the parapets and the distance of the height of the screening to screen those units when they are higher than the parapet.
Thank you. I didn't mean to take you off track, but while we were on the roof, I thought I would ask.
No
and
problem.
just to confirm, there is no amenity space on the roof, no resident access to the roof, correct?
That is correct.
But there will be other amenity spaces in the building, yes?
There will be. There is obviously the garden court, which we've touched upon, which is the entry space, and that has a lot of outdoor landscape space. We are proposing some portions of that, and I'll go back to that. Some portions of that space. This portion here and this portion here are over covered interior space, and so we will be proposing extensive green roofs on some of those areas that are not walked on. So we're proposing as much as we can to add landscaping and green to mitigate urban heat island. We've heard that come up multiple times. We're seeing it as a real issue, especially in urban situations, and we're also proposing high albedo or high reflectance roof materials for all of the roofs, in addition to the other energy conservation and carbon footprint mitigation issues that we discussed earlier. In the cellar, we're proposing exercise room, recreation meeting space, remote work office space. There will be bike storage and one large laundry space down there as well. And we believe there will most likely be a social office in there as well for services.
Can I stop you? Let's stop here for a minute. Let's talk about bike storage, because that was another comment from the planner in the report. And we want to talk about our ability to comply with the required micromobility provisions of the Newark Land Use and Zoning Ordinance. Will we have space, both internally and external to the building, to accommodate at least 57 micromobility vehicles, or not vehicles, not the right word, device, such as bicycles, scooters, etc.?
Yes, we will. We're planning to have 60 of them. That gives a safe round number, and we're proposing to provide micromobility spaces or spaces for scooters, e-bikes, and regular bicycles, both inside and outside the building. We're recommending to ownership that lithium-ion battery devices be sequestered to the exterior of the building and not permitted inside the building for fire safety reasons.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And so you talked about, let's actually stay on the laundry, on this area of the building. You talked about the large laundry room in the cellar. And the planner had asked, I believe, had a comment 15 that asked about the residential storage on sheet A100. And can you confirm that the item that was labeled residential storage on sheet A100 is actually going to be this laundry room you just specified with regard to?
That's correct. In roughly this configuration right here is what we're proposing to have as a central laundry facility with a proportion of one washer or one dryer for every 10 apartments, which is a good industry standard for sizing a laundry facility. So commercial grade equipment, both washers and dryers in that facility.
Thank you. And as a condition of approval, or as part of resolution compliant if the board will going to grant our application tonight. During resolution compliance, will you clarify the uses of there are some unlabeled rooms here in the cellar, I think also on the first level. We would agree to appropriately label those rooms during our compliance with the resolution. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Staying again with the planner's comments, is any signage proposed for this building?
No, it is not. And if the signage were to be proposed for the commercial space, that would be an amendment or separate application.
Perfect. Thank you. Want to make sure we've hit on all of the planner's comments before we move on. I just want to, if I briefly can talk about lighting for a second, and I know Michaela testified as to the lighting, and she agreed in her testimony that we would meet at least all of the minimum lighting requirements for the city's ordinance. But could you talk a little bit about the fixture selection? So, in other words, at this point in the project, we don't have fixtures selected for outside, correct?
That's correct, and it could be characterized that we have positioned with Stonefield and Michaela placeholder fixtures so that we're sure to be code compliant. Now, we will want to go back both to national parks and to Newark Historic for a refined lighting package to make sure that those fixtures, satisfy all of those entities.
Perfect, thank you. And you mentioned, I think you went through the trash collection already during your testimony. Is that correct?
I did. I could clarify it a little bit if that's helpful, Jennifer. On the typical floors, I'll just scroll up to, let's say, and actually this floor, the fourth floor is a good example. Right here, you'll see there's a trash room off the elevator lobby with a chute and recycling facilities, and that chute will drop down to the compactor room in the cellar, and then from there, the building staff will bring it out to the containers for private collection.
Perfect, thank you. I don't have any other questions. I think we hit on all of the topics that the planner's report has asked us to. Do you have anything further on your direct, Ed, before we ask the board if they may have questions?
No, I would just again like to express our excitement and energy for the project. It's a really unique opportunity for adaptive reuse. Number one, it's a beautiful building, and we want to do the best by it that we can. And it's also a really exciting opportunity for affordable housing in the heart of Newark as part of the Newark Living Downtown Plan right next to NJPAC. So, a very exciting project.
Thank you. I have no further direct chair for Mr. Long.
Thank you so much. I agree. It is a wonderful adaptable reuse. I like the fact that it's 100% affordable, and it is downtown, which we need more affordable units. Board, you have any questions or comments?
I got a comment, Mr. Chairman. I think I just want to say that I'm agree with you. We needed something like that. Affordable is actually the best. We need it. There's a lot of wonderful young ladies there with 3 and 4 children that also have a place to live, waiting in the waiting list. And I think that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't see me, Chair.
I see you. I see you now.
Yeah, I really can appreciate the affordable housing aspect of this, and I just have one question. I think it's a great project, but why only 5 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 5 3-bedroom apartments?
And it is, I don't know if that's something you can respond to.
Yeah,
Ed.
that's a question. That is a question.
What I can say with Commissioner Jordan is we are constrained. We're constrained by the building, so we do have to kind of keep that in mind. We're not at. We can't be moved. There's nothing for us to move. For instance, we're hampered is not the right word, but we are constrained by the existence in this building as it is, and the rules for HMFA really do set out a little bit of what the mix is supposed to be: X numbers of ones versus Y numbers of 2 bedrooms and Z numbers of 3 bedrooms, if you will. So that's what I would say, and then I don't know if you
That's what I would say as well. I think, as I kind of jumped into it, the column-free spacing is really amazing, but we're also constrained as to, both national parks and Newark Historic want us to have windows and walls to have a certain relationship. In other words, they don't want windows crashing into walls or walls crashing into windows or jogging around them. So based on those kind of existing modules of windows, we've kind of, I don't want to say chopped it up. We've apportioned the space around those windows, and it infers or implies a certain rhythm of the spaces inside the building. I guess that's how we've come to these unit mixes.
I can appreciate that answer. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Chairman. Respectful with their case, especially for the case for safety. I just want to ask a question about those windows. Are they going to have guards in the back of safety? How it's going to be open? Because those kids living out there. I see those windows. I don't know if they see the floor out down or something, but those windows is kind of very close to the floor of those apartments. So is it going to be open? Are they going to be able to be open, or are they going to have safety for the kids up there?
Yeah, and as we had developed these drawings for submission, we were showing some outdoor terrace space at some of the lower floors where there were setback roofs. We have since eliminated those and eliminated access to those exterior spaces. If that needs to be part of the approval, that's totally okay. I think that in answer to your question about general window safety, most of the window sills are in the 2'6" to 3 foot height. That's the existing height of the window, so a safe height. But more importantly, the windows will be fitted with window limiting devices, which limit the window opening to only 4-inch maximum diameter balls, so that nothing larger than a 4-inch ball can go through those openings when they're fully opened. And then for cleaning, a special tool or a key is required to open the window fully to wash it from the outside. So the windows will be safe. It's a more modern way than putting the accordion style bars on the window. It's actually a device that comes with the window itself.
Okay, well, that is a question, because really for the safety, those bars is very important.
Absolutely.
Especially for the kids up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Next one.
John McDonough, please.
Mr. McDonough, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board should be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you once again, and your name and affiliation for the record.
My name is John McDonough, and I'm the project planner.
When you're accepted by the board, please continue.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. McDonough, have you had the opportunity to visit the site and review the plans that have been presented to the board this evening?
Yes, we have, and Mr. Chair, I'm just going to share my screen, show what we saw right before the eclipse today to give you a sense of what.
We'll mark this as A1.
So I think it suffices to say we're dealing with a very, very special building here in the center of the city, right next to NJ Pack, and we applaud our applicant right off the bat We're keeping what's there, not going up, and not trying to build above, not trying to build out, but adaptively reusing. And as you heard through Ed's testimony just now, there are so many planning principles, fundamental planning principles that this application hits. The weight on the positive side, we know it's a balancing test, is extremely strong here with very minimal, if any, impacts given the minimal relief that the applicant is seeking. This is a building that overlooks the historic park, Military Park, which we know has been there since the colonial days, the river, which defined the city, and again, at the centerpiece here, this beautiful building, which is going to stay as is and get that TLC that it deserves. This is an adaptive reuse project, another thing that's favored by planners. It is compact development in a walkable, transit-rich area that goes towards TOD, or transit-oriented development. We've also got inclusionary development here, being historic preservation and affordable housing. And then, of course, downtown living in what is known as the living downtown redevelopment area to pull in people with a 24/7 population, which is exactly what the redevelopment plan wants. Again, just to snap you through, this is what we saw today around 245, the beautiful building and the building on the side there that's going to be part of the application as well. Preserve its relationship to NJ Pack, and obviously this is taken from the Military Park side of the street. Then when you walk down Rector, again, you've got abundant transparency here for the building and for the occupants. And then working our way a little bit further down Rector as well, you get a sense of the beauty of the building. Again, all of which help define the fabric of the city and what our applicant is preserving as part of the application. So just taking it back to the statute very quickly here, it's a balancing. We always need to look at those purposes of zoning. We've certainly got the advancement of purpose A, the general welfare with new housing stock, a permitted use, and inherently beneficial use. Inherently beneficial uses are top tier land uses. It's a narrow band. Schools, hospitals, religious uses, affordable housing are right there at the cream of the crop, and that gives this application extreme weight. Additionally, advancement of purpose C, which is our planning goal for adequate light, air, and open space. Taking what's there, not expanding outward, not expanding the footprint, not expanding upward. We think goes towards that goal as well. Purpose G, to provide for a variety of uses according to the needs of all people. I agree 100% with the commissioners that said all people belong in the center of the city, all mixes of income levels, and our applicant is doing a benevolent thing here in that regard. Purpose M, the planning goal for efficient land use and adaptive reuse is as efficient as it gets. Also taking an underutilized building, a vacant building, putting it back into productive use and revitalizing it is a good thing from a planning standpoint. Purpose I, the promotion of a desirable visual environment. The building speaks for itself. And then finally, of course, purpose J, we don't always get to say this, but the advancement of historic preservation. There's actually an aspect of purpose J that also has environmental protection hooked into it. And given the micromobility and the other improvements that you just heard through the architectural testimony, that aspect is going to be hit as well. So the list of positives here are very long. The relief and the impacts associated with them are very minimal here. Again, you heard through Michaela's testimony, the lighting levels are going to be excessive, which makes good planning sense in a downtown setting, not creating objectionable glare on any neighboring property. The insufficient trees relate to the utility runs and the driveways, but are going to be made up by the exaggerated caliper of the trees. And then finally, the driveway widths are slightly wider under the residential standard to allow for safe circulation of vehicles onto and off of the site, meeting the commercial standard but not the residential standard. And again, that's going to be in the interest of providing for safety. All said, under the balancing test, the clear weight here lies on the positive side. You've got good, solid testimony and evidence to support my planning conclusion that all relief can be granted without any substantially adverse impacts. Certainly advancing the goals and purposes of the master plan and the redevelopment plan. And with that, I would offer the statutory criteria for relief are met and approval is warranted.
That's all I have on direct, Jen.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Commissioner, any questions or comments?
I have my last question, Chairman.
Commissioner Byers.
Yeah, I just wanted to know when is it going to be able to start working in the building? And the second question is by when they're going to be able to start getting ready for the residents to move in?
I think I can speak a little bit to that, Chair.
Please.
This application, as we mentioned, got its federal historic tax credits, but it does need some other funding assistance. So we are in the process of seeking what's called a state Aspire tax credit, which is a way to help bridge the gap in financing, as well as a state historic tax credit. And then locally, we'll be seeking a payment in lieu of taxes with the city. All that to say, we're still working through the financing of this project. We do hope that this is I think we're looking at April now. I think the hope is that this is a Q4 2024, maybe a Q1 2025 storm.
And I would just add to that, Jennifer, and I'm seeing ownership messaging us that the goal is to get it fully approved the end of this year and then start construction beginning of next year, and that is a 20 to 24 months. So from 2026, two more years, people would be moving in, assuming we're granted approval here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Commissioner. Are there any other questions or comments? Madam Secretary, are there any questions or comments from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a mover and a second. Motion to move it. Second by Commissioner Freddy, second by Commissioner Byers. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner De Silva? Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
Absolutely, most definitely, yes.
Commissioner James? Co-Chair Richard?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes. The application has been approved. Good luck. And again, it's a wonderful project. Happy that you're building affordable downtown. You're repurposing the building. It's a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing building. And thank you, Mr. Berger, for bringing this project to downtown. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. To get to all customers. Thank you all.
Commissioner James is there.
Yes.
I got it.
Commissioner James said yes.
Yes, yes. Good
Thank
job.
you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Miles.
All right. Let's move to minutes, March 11th and March 25th. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Are there any comments, corrections, or concerns? Hearing none. Need a mover in a second.
Move.
Second by Commissioner Jordan, second by Commissioner Byers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. So moved. Mr. Beck, the meeting is yours now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, the following resolutions will be memorialized this evening. First off, the resolutions from the March 25th meeting, CPB 2124, 102 Bloomfield Avenue Extension, CPB 2397, 854 South Orange Avenue, CPB 2409, 220 12th Avenue, CPB 24-12, 50-54 Bach Avenue, and lastly, this one was memorialized on March 25th. That was the ordinance referral, the Sixth Amendment to the Downtown Core Redevelopment Plan. And lastly, two extensions that were approved this evening on April 8th. The first one being CPB 20-56, that's 573 Dr. MLK, that was an extension. And lastly, CPB 2142, which is 170-180 Freeling Hudson Avenue, that was an extension. All those commissioners that voted affirmatively are permitted to memorialize same. If there are any objections, please state them on the record. If not, the record will reflect that these resolutions are memorialized this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. And that concludes our meeting. Our next hearing is on April 22nd. Stay safe out there, everyone. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right. Let's have it. Stay safe out there.